This man was only 18 years old, but had the body of an 80-year-old. If he collapsed, no one would be surprised. The reason for this is that he exchanged his health for the strongest magic talent in the world. Others need to chant spells and seals to cast magic, but he can cast it with just a thought. This person is the game character I created. This game is an open-world standalone game. Every time there is an update, I will log in to the new version to create a new character to train. This time I decided to train a magician, so I put all the initial attribute points on magic, but such attributes are not satisfactory, so I decided to try the cause and effect system. This system can add various negative effects to your character. The advantage is that the system will compensate some points. By adding the points gained from negative effects to magic, you can create the ultimate magician. But the character that was created was a complete wretch. But I didn't care because it was just a game character. But when the game was about to be completed, something unexpected happened. A black light suddenly appeared on the computer screen, and then I lost consciousness. I don't know how long it was before I slowly woke up. Before I could react, someone kicked me up with a board, and then I was punched. Looking at the noisy surroundings, I finally came to my senses. Have I become the sickly game character I created? There is no time to think. Just hit my beard and yell at me. You still have the nerve to sleep when work is about to start. Come to the assembly room and work right away. Stand up and feel this weak body. This is not my body. I realized when I saw my face in the mirror. This face is the character I created. I spent the next few days working in this shady factory. Although I still knew nothing about this place, I adapted to everything here at an amazing speed. Here I have to get up before the sun rises, work until I pass out, and get Jolaigu, which has been in the garbage room overnight, before going to bed. Even if I wanted to ask something, the other workers wouldn't answer. One reason is that the prosecutor took a look and I was too busy. Second, because in their eyes I am no different from a corpse. But it's normal for them to think so. After all, this body looks like it's about to become obsolete. The heavy physical work was enough to torment me. But I was also tortured by insomnia. I haven't slept for 3 days straight. This is all because of the negative effects of my previous choices. I don't have much time left. My body can't hold out much longer in this shady factory. But at least there is one thing to be thankful for. The negative effects on this body are so obvious. That is to say, I also have a magical talent that is proportional to this. As long as I activate my magical talent, I can escape from this broken place. The next day when I was working, I suddenly felt my feet lighten. The box in his hand fell to the ground without him noticing. The foreman immediately came towards me with a whip in hand. Just as he was about to lecture me, I coughed and apologized. When he saw me like this, he said to the people around him, "This kid won't live long. Let him stay in a deserted corner." After saying that, he came forward and asked me to go back to where I was. Now they thought I was completely dead. But this was good for me. After all, they don't keep a close eye on me like they do on other people. If we can use this advantage to gain control of the entire factory, we should be able to plan an escape route. So I decided to sneak out and take a look when no one was watching. I looked at the door in front of me with light coming out and thought it was the exit. But when I walked to the door, I stopped because I heard someone talking inside. You know what? The organization will sell our shredders to black magicians. When I heard the word black magician, I was immediately certain that magic really existed in this world. But how can I use magic? At this time, the artist took out a small bottle and said that it contained a body enhancer called Viper. Although this stuff has side effects, the filter at the mouth of the bottle can reduce the toxicity of the body enhancer. This filter requires magic to power. Then the man pressed the filter. In an instant, a magical light spot appeared in the bottle. I looked at the light and felt an unusual feeling. The next second, my whole body was filled with magic. Something in my body seemed to be about to explode. This was the sixth sense that transcended the five senses of human beings. The third eye, a second self. I awakened to new feelings I had never known before. This familiar yet strange power is the magic of light. At night, I feel the magic in my hands. It's time to make an escape plan as soon as possible. During the day, I heard them say that someone from above would come to collect the money the day after tomorrow. the prosecutor wouldn't be too strict then. Then prepare for the next 2 days as your escape day. For the next 2 days, I secretly inspected the factory structure during the day. At night, I practiced magic until I was exhausted. Thanks to the efforts of the past 2 days, I have learned to gather the magic and create momentum in an instant. He also successfully performed several basic magic spells. Then came the day when the people from above came to the factory. I used magic to heat my body so that I looked like I had a fever. This way, we should be able to stay in the room alone. On the other side, the factory prosecutor gave our captain a bottle of Viper Enhancer. Tell him to get rid of this sick guy of mine as soon as possible. To avoid being seen by the superiors and finding fault with them, at this time, the alarm clock for waking up early rang. Everyone else got up and washed up, but I lay on the bed with a dying look on my face, not moving. When others saw this, they all said that I would not survive the day. At this time, the captain came into the room and asked the others to leave first. One of them even made a scene that the captain was here to make him go on his way. I listened to Jahua's police and sent me on my way. I didn't expect to encounter such a situation. What should I do now? I didn't have time to think about it. A large hand grabbed my shoulder. He knocked me over, but he handed me a potion. He said it was called a poisonous snake, and it could temporarily strengthen the body. He told me to take it and run. After drinking it, I really felt full of strength. I remember the prosecutor asked the captain to send this to his room. The escape plan has changed. I need to get these things first. So I found the person in charge and lied that I was going to send Viper to the prosecutor's room. I wanted him to open the door for me. He picked up the key and asked me to follow him. He walked and muttered curses. After opening the door, he told me to put my things down and get out of here. But I had already formed a magic rope. I grabbed his neck and started to electrocute him. In an instant, he fell to the ground with foam coming out of his mouth. I quickly picked up his keys. Then there was a search. I found a pistol in the inner drawer. After some searching, I finally found the Viper. This thing is really powerful. If you keep using it, you can forget the fatigue and pain. That's about it. It's time to go. But just then there was a noise at the door. It was the prosecutor who walked in. He stared at the bald man on the ground in a daze. I took the opportunity to slowly appear on the side. I gathered my magic and prepared to launch an electric shock. But I didn't expect that the prosecutor actually dodged this attack. This is bad. I don't have enough magic to use the electric shock again. At this time, the prosecutor also reacted. He clenched his fist and hit me, and I just took out the big treasure. Upon seeing this, the prosecutor immediately raised his hands in surrender. He kept begging for mercy. He said I would let him go. He would never tell anyone what happened today. But I was sure that what he said was a lie. But even so, could I really shoot someone? The prosecutor pointed to a door on one side and said that was the underground parking lot that led directly to the outside. I drove to the door as he instructed, but was stopped by the staff. I pulled out my gun and asked him to lift the switch. Then he kept begging me to spare his life. But I know that if we don't eradicate the problem completely, there will be endless trouble. So I deducted the flight. The tenacious mental strength, calmness and rationality I set out overwhelmed the guilt and fear, allowing me to stay awake. The more extreme the situation, the calmer I can be. This is the magician's talent. I finally escaped from this shady factory. When I arrived in the city, I looked at the environment here. Every place here is full of magic. In other words, magic has made a great contribution to the civilization of this world. At this moment, fatigue came over me. I spent too much energy to escape. Now I should find a place to stay. I found a hotel and found no one following me during the hour's journey to get here. The car that was driven out was also thrown away. Now I should be able to take a break. As soon as I finished speaking, my eyes went dark and I couldn't stop myself. I don't know how long it took before I slowly woke up. I felt like my throat was smoking. I went to the hotel refrigerator and took out a can of beer, and then I drank it in big gulps. I just felt a little better, and the next moment I felt a shock all over my body. I sat down on the ground, feeling my stomach churning. Not only did my head ache, but my muscles felt like they were torn apart. Is this a side effect of the Viper Enhancer? However, if I want to move with this body now, I can only rely on enhancers temporarily. Then I ate something else and looked at the little money I had left. I didn't even have enough to stay for another night. I needed money, so I decided to get myself ready before going out. I cut my hair short so they wouldn't recognize me. I thought for a long time on the street but couldn't think of a way to make money legally. After all, I am an illegal detainee in this world who doesn't even have an ID card. It's better to teach a few bad guys a lesson and rob them of their money. It was a happy decision. So I focused my magic on my ears and felt my surroundings. It wasn't long before I overheard the conversation between the two thieves. I arrived early, in the alley not far away. Just as I stood up and prepared to start, I suddenly felt dizzy. I am also impressed by Ryuji's body. I took out the snake and took a sip. I immediately felt refreshed and full of strength. At the same time, in the alley, two hooligans were beating and scolding a man because he lost the stolen money. After the other party fought alone for a while, he wanted to remove his parts to end the fight. And at this moment, I directly made a cushion for the two gangsters. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Then I slapped the two hooligans. More than 700,000 sire, not bad. Then I picked up something that looked like a ballpoint pen, and the uncle immediately told me in horror not to point it at him. This thing is a laser cutting machine produced by the Daika company, but they illegally modified it to be used as a weapon. I put it in my arms after hearing this. I then asked the uncle to forget what he had seen today. Then I asked him if there were any jobs available for people without legal status. At night, I arrived at the door of a bar. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary bar, but it was actually a gathering place for bounty hunters, and there was no need for me to reveal my identity, so I used magic to trick them. The only person you can trust in this world is yourself. When I arrived at the bar, I went straight to the point and said that I wanted to find a job suitable for a magician. At this moment, a woman came out of the ceremony room and said her name was Jenny. When she found out I was a magician, she was skeptical. After all, my dog-playing appearance doesn't really look like a magician. Jenny said he wanted to see my magic. If I only knew some low-level magic, I would go in and fight Ross. I stretched out my left hand and gathered magic. The power of thunder and lightning filled the surroundings. Jenny was directly shocked by this scene, because I didn't chant spells and make hand gestures like other magicians, but activated it directly with just a thought. Then he excitedly took out the contract and asked me to sign it. This is the job of a bounty hunter. Send the money immediately after the deed is accomplished. The target of the mission is Taylor, who is Skyvenser's man. He tried to steal Aqueous security equipment 3 days ago and then escaped. The bounty is 3 million sare. I looked at the document and it said that a blood sample was obtained. So I asked Jenny to give me the blood sample. After listening to me, Jenny suggested that if I wanted to find a blood mage, I should just give up because that group of people would charge at least 5 million seers for each order. After leaving the bar, I took out the blood sample and put it on the ground. There's no need to look for a blood mage because I can do it myself. Then I cast my magic. Blood refining, instantly magic poured into the sample. In the next moment, a ferocious red snake condensed from the sample. The red snake sped along and stopped behind a person after a moment. I found you, Taylor, but what I didn't expect was that Taylor ran away when he saw me. There was no way I could outrun him with my tiny body. And long-range shooting doesn't make much sense. But I thought of a perfect skill. This shot directly pierced Taylor's ears. Just when I was about to go forward to kill him, it turned out to be a sniper. Luckily, I cast a protective shield magic ahead of time just in case. Then I quickly activated magic to strengthen the shield. This way, even if a rocket came, my shield would be able to hold up. Then I used perception magic to detect the sniper's position. He was not within 1,000 meters. In other words, the other party either fired the gun from 1,000 meters away, or used some means to make it impossible for my magic power to sense it. But I have already said, why would this person target me? No, judging from the location and direction of the shield shattering just now, that person's target was not me but Taylor. Could it be that the other party wanted to shut this guy up? That's probably Skywind's Taylor. But I'm not interested in this matter. I pulled out my pistol and prepared to shoot Taylor. I want to establish a ruthless image in the industry. In this way, fewer and fewer people will dare to hinder me from doing my work. And I wasn't going to let that sniper go. found it. The moment I killed Taylor, the sniper's magic power fluctuated. The target is within 1,000 meters, and there is a kind of magic that is suitable for attacking at this distance, and it is very powerful. It can be said to symbolize electric shock magic. Change to Taylor. Looking at the damage this one hit caused, it was much better than anything I'd seen in the game before. With this kind of magic in hand, I can declare myself the king of thunder and lightning. When we arrived at the rooftop where the sniper was, there was no trace of him left. It seems that he has already run away, but there is no need for me to chase him. The previous blow was enough to teach him a lesson, and it was also enough to make the name of the king of thunder and lightning famous. A moment later, I was exhausted and carried Taylor's body back to the bar. The old bartender told me to come in through the back door of the building and he would bring the package over. When I got to the back door, I found that the old man had arrived before me. He told me to come in through the back door when I wanted to talk to him next time. Maybe he is old and forgot to remind me. He asked me to wait a moment. He wanted to perform an autopsy. The old man looked at it for a while and confirmed that this person was Taylor. He asked me if I wanted to collect the reward now. I nodded, and after deducting the 10 handling fee, the total amount was 2.7 million ser. If you want to receive the payment through other channels, you will need to pay additional handling fees. For example, some people ask for the money to be transferred to someone else's name or to be paid in complicated ways such as bonds and stocks. I pondered for a while, and it seems that the financial system here is similar to that on Earth. Just then the proprietress Jenny came out from the inner room and said to me lazily, "You came here so quickly. It seems you are short of money." Generally speaking, this kind of bounty offering commission killing is secondary, and finding the person is the most time-consuming. What on earth do you have that you were able to take down the target so quickly? I said I was lucky. Johnny stared at my face for a while, then smiled and said, "Okay, since you are so capable, we can cooperate more in the future." I said calmly, "You can assign me the next commission group right away." Jenny refused, saying, "That won't work. We need to transfer this guy to Acleus Company and then confirm the whereabouts of Skavens. Also, I found out that I haven't gained your trust yet, right? How smart. We also need some time to get to know each other, just like falling in love." But I knew that he didn't reject me because of this. I turned around and said, "He'll come back later." After I left, the old man said to Jenny, "I dug into Skywinds' network system and found some interesting things. They filmed Fan as he carried out his mission." When Jenny saw the contents inside, he was shocked. And now I have come to the trial library here. Today I would like to analyze the magic system of this world. In addition, under the effect of the magic removal system, my body is like a bamboo shoot in the wind, so I have to find a way to prolong my life, for example, magic related to time. There might be some clues in the top inherent magic system. I searched several books in one go, and then opened one of them to check. The first page introduces the magic totem. The magic totem is equivalent to the magician's fingerprint. Every magician has a unique magic totem. Great magicians above level 8 can change the totem. The confirmation method is to press the index finger of the left hand against the palm of the right hand and inject magic. I pressed my right palm according to the instructions in the book. The next second, magic surged out of my hand. This is my magic totem. The book says that only great magicians above level 8 can change their magic totems. I don't know what level 8 is. It's good to use a little magic. As my magic power deepened, the totem began to change. Although I don't know how powerful level 8 is, the magical talent of this body is definitely beyond doubt. I have been seeing yellow turtles since morning. This is really a bit beyond my expectations. The concept of shared magic that I knew about disappeared completely. As far as I know, magic is divided into two categories. One is inherent magic, and the other is shared magic. Each magician can only master one system of magic, which is the inherent magic. This kind of magic is characterized by specialization and high power. On the contrary, shared magic is not as profound. Its power is not as strong as inherent magic, but it does not have attributes or applicable objects. It crushes the former in terms of universal applicability. But now it seems that there is no shared magic in this world. So how did I perform it? Even if this body of mine has a talent for magic, I can't use concepts that don't exist in this world. Wang Hui didn't solve any problems in one day. Instead, he had a lot of doubts and didn't have time to study the inherent magic of the time system. I advise you to give up. I turned around and saw a beautiful lady with golden hair. She then spoke to me. If you want to be a magician, you might as well give up. Having hope will only make you miserable. I just couldn't bear to see you sitting there reading a book for the whole day. You can't become a magician just by immersing yourself in books. You are not a child anymore. It is too late to start now. It would be better to study theoretical magic engineering instead. Without joining a school and finding a mentor, one can only study magic at university. But you can't enter university without any foundation. Even if you are lucky enough to get in, you won't learn anything through the school courses. How well you can learn magic basically depends on talent and luck. You can't research anything by yourself, especially when you are full of enthusiasm. I was somewhat speechless after hearing her words. The woman continued, I'm sorry, we have never met before and I shouldn't tell you what to do. It's past closing time. I need to sort out the books. I hope you can leave, I said calmly. Is this based on your experience? If you are still a student, it is not too early to give up now. Don't rush to define yourself. Just do what you can first. The woman spoke in classical Chinese, then angrily slapped a business card on my chest. You are such an unreasonable person. This is how you respond to me when I am trying to give you some advice. Forget it. If you come again later, I will help you see your strength. I thought I had run into a psycho, and then I looked at the business card. It says Ellis, Professor of Elemental Magic at Lavatellan University. This woman is actually a professor. I left the library slowly. I didn't expect that she looked so young but was actually a professor. No matter how you look at her, she looks younger than me. I turned around and looked at my haggard self in the mirror. Let's go shopping first. I came to the bustling vegetable market and cooked my own food, which was good for my health. Just then I heard a voice. Could you please cooperate with the investigation? I was startled and turned around to look. A policeman asked the yellow-haired man who was drinking to stretch out his hand. I need to calm down. They are not here to arrest me. But at this moment, someone suddenly called me. Hey, did you do something wrong? You just kept floating towards that side, looking like a guilty thief. I looked at the policeman who was scanning his palms with a machine. The book says that the magic totem is like a person's fingerprint, so this is how identification is done. The woman then asked me why I came to the market. I said I was here to buy vegetables, but I was so focused on other things that I almost forgot about it. The woman was a little disappointed. What? So you came to our store to buy vegetables? I asked, wasn't the one looking after the store an auntie? The woman said that the aunt was an employee she hired. I responded, that means these vegetables were all grown by you. Yes, growing vegetables is my hobby, and I grew all of these. You can actually grow so many vegetables for your hobby. You must be a rich woman. Yes, I am good at making money. I can't tell whether what she said is true or not, but she is really a beauty that doesn't fit in here. But whoever she is has nothing to do with me, so are you going to buy it or not? I said of course I wanted to buy it, but I needed to think about what to buy. The woman will give me an onion and say, buy this, it's called Gabby onion, it helps you sleep. Your eye circles are darker than a panda's, you could use this. I told her to get me 2 onions, 5 scallions and 6 green peppers. After the woman packed up what I wanted, she suddenly said to me, your magic is special. I was shocked. Why would a magician like you appear here? I'm a little nervous. I don't quite understand what you're talking about. You must have just arrived in Birkin not long ago, right? Otherwise, I would definitely remember your detailed totem. I was sweating. Who is this woman? Not only did she discover that I was a magician, she also saw through my magic totem. But the next second the woman said calmly, forget it, they'll give it to you, a total of 30,000 seals. After paying, I turned around and left. Could it be that, because I had the shield magic activated the entire time, she discovered the magic totem leaking out of the shield? But the police had to use a detector to read the totem. She actually saw it with her naked eyes. Either she had a special talent or she was a powerful magician. But no matter what, it is a headache for me. I really didn't expect that I would be seen by a strange woman. It seems that I need to put more effort into magic. After that, I stayed at home for several days and devoted myself to studying magic, hoping to improve the efficiency of the skills of the common magic I knew, but I still didn't find any clues about the inherent magic. As for my health, I may have to rely on medicine to keep myself alive until a breakthrough method is found. In addition, in order to buy better medicine, I need a lot of money and legal identity. So I went to Jenny's bar the next day and I told him I needed legal status. Jenny said that this would cost a lot of money, at least 20 million ser, and I was immediately happy. Jenny went on to say, "But you don't have to worry about the money, I just want to give you a commission. As a magician, you have plenty of ways to make a lot of money easily." I nodded and asked him what the commission was this time. Jenny said calmly that this time it was a commission from a company, compared to a commission from a bounty hunter. You can earn more money from corporate commissions. I know you prefer bounty hunting, but considering the future income, taking some corporate commissions may be a good choice. You don't enjoy the feeling of chasing down crazy criminals, do you? I said of course not. Jenny pointed behind him and said, "That's good, let's go somewhere else and talk in detail." The target of this corporate commission is the cosmetics manufacturing factory that Charlotte Enterprise has just attacked in Area 42. Many people have pointed out that the factory conducted a large number of human experiments before planning to mass-produce toner. Charlotte Enterprises has made its name with its anti-aging technology that regenerates the skin. There is evidence that they covered the entire facial skin of a person when they were developing it, saying that they wanted to create a perfect environment. I asked in confusion, "Isn't this evidence enough to determine the truth? I don't quite understand what else companies would entrust us to do." Jenny responded, "How can you say that? Whether it is true or not, there is no way that Charlotte Enterprises will give up the plant just based on this rumor. The company that commissioned us this time was Banished Enterprises. They began to get involved in the cosmetics market, wanting to suppress Charlotte. They proposed 2 tasks, the first of which was to hack into Charlotte's internal network and obtain Charlotte's cosmetics manufacturing information, with a reward of 350 million sauce. If you don't want to take the first mission, you can take the second one, which is to destroy the factory and make it completely unusable. This order is 50 million sal." I was speechless. The first task is impossible to complete. Johnny is lazy, that's right. If you want to hire a boss who can hack into the system, you can't do it for 350 million. Bear Eyes just wanted to see if he could find a fool. In short, their commission was to destroy the factory. I said I understood and could sign the contract. By the way, I could still destroy the factory. Jenny clapped his hands happily. "Okay. Let me introduce the teammates you will be working with this time. I'm a little dissatisfied you didn't mention you had teammates before." As soon as he finished speaking, a figure jumped down from the second floor. The man was dressed in strange clothes. As soon as he came down, he stretched out his hand and greeted me. Ayu. I was quite shocked by his appearance. Jenny introduced, "This is Dylan, a mercenary from Antares' office, and a well-known low-cost mercenary in the circle." "Jenny, how could you introduce me like this? Don't you know that first impression is important? How would he see me if you introduced me like this? I guess they'll think you're a masked psychopath." "Jenny, I am hurt by what you said." I walked up to him, shook his hand and introduced myself. "My name is Fan, and I'm an electrical engineering magician." After saying that, I turned around and asked Jenny why he added a teammate for me. Jenny said that he felt that this commission was difficult, so he added an assistant to me. Received in the first round. I have no problem myself, but Jenny said that we could trick someone else, so I chose to trick the police officer, right? I said with some displeasure, "If you will arrange teammates next time, I hope you can tell me in advance." Jenny nodded to indicate that it was okay. I then asked if we would split the 5,000 shares equally after the trial. The first round of voices came. It's almost time to build a foundation and collect renewal fees. Since this commission was due to my negligence, I will not charge any handling fee. After making a mistake, I corrected it very quickly. Although he handled it well, was it really his negligence? Maybe he is testing my bottom line. If he really pushes me too far, I can deal with him then. Anyway, the initiative is in my hands. Okay, now let's take a look at the factory design. The area where the factory is located is called Area 42, which is different from areas 50 and above, which have not yet been developed. Areas above No. 40 are not behind upstream areas in terms of facilities. Area No. 42 where the factory is located, is just above average. It's just a bit desolate. I turned to Dylan and said, Jenny seems to think highly of you. She is not a woman who will give up easily. If it were a normal pit-top glasses, he would take it away without blinking and collect the renewal fee. The reason why he didn't collect it this time is probably because he thinks it is more important to maintain a friendly relationship with you. She's never treated me like this before. I thought to myself that it seemed like she knew exactly what was going on in the bar. Is she the type to hide her inner thoughts behind her absurd behavior? At this moment, Dylan in front of me suddenly handed me a business card. She asked me if I would accept it. I asked her why she gave me her business card. Dylan said he just wanted to tell me that there was no need to hang myself on a tree. I asked as she was throwing olive sesame seeds at me. Dylan gave a thumbs up. Anyway, there is no point in trying it out with multiple people, and you won't suffer any loss by coming here. Although we in the 15th Institute all have some rear areas, there are many who have grown up like me. Of course, this cannot be done at high speed. I was amused by her words. She said it beautifully. But I wonder if you can complete your work so beautifully. Dylan confidently said, please stay tuned. The security in the factory is not very strict at this moment. To be precise, it is full of loopholes. Dylan received the call downstairs. After all, generally speaking, no one would risk their life to support the magnanimity of the hot hero Roth. If Bare Eyes wasn't a hunchback, I wouldn't have accepted this hunchback. The Bao-ans here in Baho are all gossipy people. They are either criminals or small-time hooligans. It is also the worst behavior in Bao-an Company. Even if 1 or 2 corpses were killed, I feel the sentencing wouldn't be that painful. I turned around and said I was ready to start. Dylan asked me to wait a moment. Then she said speechlessly, you are not going to go in just looking at that face. Even if they are scared away, you don't have to openly declare that you are sleeping with them. They'll give you this anyway. I turned around quickly and told her I didn't need it. Dylan panicked and said, this is too dangerous. I told her she was welcome. Dylan was speechless. In being polite to you, what if someone takes advantage of you and they trace it back to me? I helplessly pulled up my clothes to cover my mouth. That's fine, right? Dylan stopped wasting time. This commissioned operation plan is particularly simple. When Dylan broke into the back of the factory to attract the enemy's attention, I'm going to go inside through the logistics warehouse and destroy the factory directly. Although the plan doesn't sound special, Dylan is a variable. Dylan took the first step and rushed out. In an instant, she grabbed the head of one of the guards and smashed it to the ground. Another guard heard the sound and turned back to check, but Dylan teleported behind her in the blink of an eye. Then there was an opportunity, and she took care of 2 guards in just 2.5 seconds. Maybe this guy is really good. She waved at me and said, let's pick 2 nests first. However, just as she finished speaking, a voice reporting the news came from the truck on the other side. A suspicious person wearing a hood appeared near the warehouse. Hearing the screams coming from the other side, I became worried. It seems that Jenny has a good eye. It's time for me to start too. I took a puff of the snake and ran to the warehouse. The door was locked. I took out the laser pointer from my pocket. It finally came in handy. The sharp laser pen cut through the lock in an instant. I opened the door carefully, only to find a middle-aged man inside holding a gun and asking who I was. He urged me to raise my hands. He should be an ordinary security guard. Then I cast a sleeping magic, and the security guard's whole body shook instantly, and then he fainted on the ground with a gun drawn. There was no need to involve ordinary people. I then activated the puppet, and the security guard swayed towards the door on his own. I walked downstairs, listening to the noise coming from outside. Dylan's attack on the right ear was very successful, and it seemed that there would be no more accidents before he succeeded. At the same time, outside, the security guard fired frantically in front of him. But the next second he was hit by a package. It really stinks. I didn't expect there would be so many hidden shadows flying around. Then Dylan went forward and opened the warehouse. But there was no one inside. Dylan was a little worried. I wonder if they are chasing after my master MO. But the next second he saw an infrared beam aimed at his feet. Then countless infrared beams were aimed at Dylan, and dozens of security guards aimed their rifles at Dylan. You have 5 seconds to get down on the ground or well shoot. But Dylan was somewhat excited. This is a great occasion, you all getting together like this is a recognition of my excellent work, right? Plus, this way I don't have to recruit them one by one. Dylan jumped into the crowd like a big wolfhound. Okay, next try. I have already come to the inside of the factory and I found this thing. It is impossible for such a large factory to not have gas equipment to regulate heating and cooling. Such a large number of gas cylinders is more than enough for a factory. With great effort, I turned on the switch. Looking at the leaking gas, all that's left to do is ignite it and detonate it. I stretched out my hand and gathered the burning magic. It was not difficult to create the magic of sparks. But now I need to wait until Dylan and I leave before triggering this magic. I have to thank the woman in the vegetable store. After meeting her, I put all my efforts into transforming shared magic, wanting to apply them, and I realized that simple shared magic can be combined. Now I'm going to put a timer on the sparkler so it goes off in 5 minutes. Now everything is done, all we have to do is escape. Just then I heard a loud noise. At the same time, on the other side, a deep hole was smashed in the iron gate at the back. There was another loud bang, and the iron gate at the back was blown away. Hehe, it's really a mess. I quickly ran upstairs to check. I was a little shocked. What on earth was that? An alligator? Dylan plays ballistics. Long time no see. Hey, isn't this an old acquaintance? How's that little Antares kid doing? God is causing trouble. When he said he wanted to go out and work on his own, I was wondering where that guy got the confidence from. Now it seems that he is quite capable. Our bosses all have the fate of being a wise and humble person, a reputation of being a wise and humble person. Let's not talk about that for now, you should know what the situation is now, right? I am the treasure here. How much did you get? Not enough, only 1 billion. For Antares' sake, I will send you off in comfort. That may not be that easy. Can you just throw me the treasure next to you? Do you mean this little toy? Looking at the package thrown at him, Dylan flicked his finger. Thank you. But how can you say that? This is not just a toy, it is very painful for me to use it. Is it worth it to be a crocodile security guard with a salary of 1 billion per month? Faced with Dylan, who defeated dozens of security guards alone, he didn't take it seriously at all. Dylan was not afraid at all. He attacked the crocodile with a spear, but he was swatted away like a fly the next second. With all these tricks, you are still the same as before, liking to do some ridiculous things. Dylan took out an axe from his bag and said awkwardly, "It seems not appropriate to use a trick today." Then he rushed towards the crocodile again. Dylan's actions have shocked me for 2.5 years. Is he so stubborn? What to do now? There were only 2.5 minutes left before the gas exploded. Time was too tight. Dylan had been so arrogant just now, but now he didn't even have the energy to escape. That guy is an extremely powerful monster. Anyway, I will try my best to help him and then get out of here as soon as possible. The crocodile taunted Dylan. You little brat disappoints me so much. Your current level is not as good as before. When I first met you, you were full of murderous intent, but now it's almost gone. Dylan stood up and said gloomily, "But why are you getting more and more angry?" After saying that, he drew out the 2 swords behind him. Ruh, do you feel the murderous aura now? A little faster than Shui Yao. Lightning condensed, and suddenly several thunderballs appeared under the crocodile's feet. In the blink of an eye, the power of thunder and lightning covered the crocodile's entire body. Dylan looked back and realized that it was me who did it. Dylan knew that this was his only chance to defeat the crocodile. Although the crocodile's movement was hindered, it still delivered a fierce punch. Dylan dodged easily and jumped into the air to attack. However, just as the attack was about to hit, a crocodile's tail suddenly rose up, which directly whipped Dylan away. Then the crocodile grabbed Dylan's neck and said, "You guy, why didn't you tell me that you had a magician friend?" This is interesting, he did use some clever tricks, but they can't do anything to me. I will send you to the west first, and then I will go find him to play with me. Have a good journey. The fist as big as a sandbag hit Dylan. The strong impact sent Dylan flying, and he rolled on the ground for 2.5 meters before coming to a stop. Now we can go find the magician. At this moment, I arrived at another place panting. The power of my condensed lightning can melt steel, but that guy was unharmed after taking my attack. Win or lose by 1 point, Dylan seems to be beaten around here. After taking 2 steps, I saw Dylan lying on the ground, motionless. Is this guy still alive? Ma. Seems he is still alive. How can we move him? I held my chest, that was all I could do. Increase strength and increase speed. Because my body is mana poisoned, I will try to avoid sending magic power into my body. But now is not the time to be picky. I picked up Dylan and had to get out of here. This place was going to explode. On the other side, the crocodile was searching for the magician, but there was no trace of him. At this moment, he felt a chill in his heart and sensed that something was wrong. The next second my timing magic started. In an instant, the explosion covered the entire factory. Fortunately, Dylan and I had escaped the explosion range. I'm in a dark mood. I feel like all my bones are broken. I turned and asked Dylan if he could still walk on his own. Then I trembled and took out the poisonous tongue from my arms. And then I inhaled it violently to replenish my energy. Seeing this, Dylan asked, "What are you doing? Is that a body enhancer? I heard that if the side effects are serious, why do you still smoke so much?" I said calmly, "This commission should be successful." Then I sighed, "I thought it was a fight between humans and monsters, but you look like a monster now. Are all the superhumans who are good at hand-to-hand combat the same as you? I don't understand what you are saying, so I just think you are complimenting me. And if you don't want to die here, just get up quietly, we still have to escape." I asked puzzledly, "Do you think the monster is still alive?" Dylan was speechless. Why ask that? He must be thinking about something. He must still be alive. You really don't know who that old guy is? You haven't been practicing in Shinshan Luoling before? He is Crook of the Demon Cave. At the same time in the factory, Crook climbed out of the ruins and roared to the sky. "I'm so mad. I must kill you 2 stinky rats." The old guy was a mercenary before, and after retiring, he became a cadre in the Demon Cave. The Demon Cave is full of high-risk criminals and lawless people, and it is a great honor to be favored by such a well-known international criminal organization. Being a real cadre of the organization is enough to prove how strong he is. I was a little shocked that such a monster was just a cadre and not a boss. Just when Dylan and I were about to run away, Clock chased us with murderous intent. Seeing this, Dylan limped away. Although in this world one can use magic to strengthen one's body at will, he is still too strong. Croc taunted Dylan. "Isn't your magician friend the bean sprout? But for a magician he is quite young." I glanced at Dylan lying on the ground. Judging from the current situation, Dylan and I couldn't escape. This guy couldn't be dead. But the next second Dylan coughed twice to show that he was not dead yet. If you want to fight that monster Hedon, you have to do it quickly. Once the battle becomes intense, the probability of defeating him will be infinitely close to 0. Crook came up to me and spoke. "Are you the wizard who blew up the factory? Didn't anyone teach you not to blow off other people's legs?" I said calmly, "You are not a human being." Clock laughed up to the sky. Dylan really brought a rude friend with him. "If you hadn't destroyed the factory, I could have spared your life. But if I take the money, I will help people get rid of their misfortunes, and that will make you feel very happy." I looked at the claws coming at me calmly. The next second, I used gravity condensation. Instantly, countless black magics entangled Croc's limbs. He was firmly trapped in the place. Crook was not panicked at all. He laughed. This was a funny joke. The gravity effect of this magic is proportional to the mass of the target, thus inhibiting the target's movement. It's not something that can be easily cracked. But the next second I was dumbfounded. Croc just moved casually and tore the magic apart. I quickly used several gravity condensations again. Crook was also mocking. What happened? Do you think these ropes can't bear my strength? Wait a moment. Before he could finish his words, a spell entangled his group. Finally, it was quiet. But this move alone is not enough to defeat him. I'm going to use up all my remaining magic power in this last stand. In just 2.5 seconds, Croc broke free from my gravity condensation. He screamed that he would tear me into pieces. I concentrated my magic with all my strength. I'm sorry, I'm not going to just sit there and wait to die. Now is a matter of life and death, and I will not hold back any longer. Croc rushed towards me with a sword step. I then slapped the magic in my hand to the ground. Soul of Frost, the temperature around him dropped rapidly in an instant. The strong ice magic froze Croc into an ice sculpture. I almost fainted on the spot after using it. My magic power has run out. Dylan was in agony. He was freezing to death. Let's delete it quickly. Run quickly before the old guy with the gun in Lipu escapes. I wiped the sweat off my forehead and expressed my agreement. But just as he finished speaking, he heard the sound of ice breaking. It was so fast. Dylan was born in the shape of a sword. We must get rid of him before he breaks free. I said he didn't need to say that, but at this moment, there is almost no magic power left in my body. What should I do now? Then an idea came to me. Looks like this will decide the outcome. This only requires a small amount of magic power to activate. A common magic used to assist long-range weapons. It is also a shooting combination magic widely used by magic gunners. I enhanced the penetration of the pistol master. The great machine fell again, the shells accelerated. This rescue gun can't withstand the magic power. But it doesn't matter. This is the final blow anyway. At the same time, Croken had already lifted his foot and revealed his eyes. I then assisted the pistol master in aiming, and then fired a super special bullet. The bullet went straight to Croken's eyes and sucked blood. This hit was solid. It also made Kraken completely rely on my ice magic. Dylan sighed. You said you wanted to fight it out, but I didn't expect you to pull out a wall. You actually aimed at his eyes, which was amazing. Did you succeed this time? At this moment, I can't even hold the pistol steadily. I said weakly, I hope it works. I don't have the strength to fight back anymore. But when the crops were gone, Croken was unharmed. Crokenson said, this guy actually caught the bullet with his eyelids. I used 4 types of combined shooting magic to fire that shot just now. It turned out that he caught the bullet using only the muscles of his eyelids. I couldn't help but say that it was too perverted. Croken laughed when he heard it. You're right, even I don't think I'm an ordinary person. He then opened his right eye and the bullet fell. Then Croken said angrily, however, it still hurts a bit. I tried to gather my magic, but I had already swam into the lamp cave. Now that things have come to this, we have no choice but to accept it. I took out the laser knife. Croken clenched his fists and said murderously, what I just said was to give you a quick relief. Now it's invalid. Croken jumped into the air. Then he rushed towards us. Am I gonna die here? There was a loud explosion. My solid magic was shattered instantly, but surprisingly, I was still alive. It turned out that a woman was standing in front of me. Croken said, it seems that I have delayed too long. Isn't this the city government's Hound Evelyn? Crocker, you're going too far. With that, he deflected Croken's attack. You didn't think you could blow up an entire factory without being noticed? I thought the demon cave would be quiet for a while. What on earth are you trying to do by turning District 42 upside down? Croken greeted him with a smile. Then he quickly said, wait for Evelyn. You are wrongly accusing me. It was not me who blew up the factory. It was the two of them. Dylan quickly shook his head to indicate that it was not us. Croken, stop talking nonsense. Are you saying that those 2 guys you almost beat into a pulp blew up the factory? Just because of that masked pervert? Croken was speechless. Rather than saying that I failed to stop those 2 brats from blowing up the factory, it is more credible that I destroyed the factory myself. Then he turned around and said, whatever you want to think. I'm quitting anyway. It's not in my contract to fight with the city government officials. I don't want to get into trouble. I was a little shocked. He actually took the initiative to avoid fighting. Does that mean this woman is also a superhero who is not inferior to her? Evelyn asked if either of us was hurt. I'll ask your parents for help. Thank you for saving me. Evelyn took off his mask and turned around. You're welcome. It's my job. I was a little surprised when I saw his face. He turned out to be the beautiful vegetable seller. Evelyn held out his hand to me and said, "Can you still get up?" I quickly stood up tremblingly to show that I could. At this time, Evelyn asked in confusion, "Have we met somewhere before?" I brushed the dust off him and denied it. "Is there?" I have no impression, although I guess he is not an ordinary person. But I didn't expect that he was actually an elite. It seems he wasn't bragging when he said he was good at making money. Evelyn turned around and said, "I must have made a mistake. Your magic totems are completely different. I've learned a lesson from the last time he saw through me. I won't fall into the same trap twice. Change the magic totem every time you use magic. It's quite effective." Evelyn put on the mask and continued, "I advise you to try not to get involved with the devil's cry. Otherwise, your life will be in danger." After saying that, he jumped into the air. Dylan said excitedly, "Don't swear, we are so lucky." I rubbed my sore arm and said dissatisfiedly, "You have to give me a bigger share of the reward this time." I thought to myself, if Dylan could get out of the factory quickly, we wouldn't have to fight so hard. Did he buy time fighting Kroken? And he said we were lucky, how abominable. Dylan patted my shoulder and said with a smile, "I believe it. After all, you saved my life. Then I will leave 10 million here, I will give you the rest. Then the 40 million will be yours, that's right. I clearly got more money. Why do I feel like Eve been cheated?" Dylan saw me and started to talk like Theo again. "You are washing that again. It is not good for your body. You should train some muscles like me. Even if you only train your core muscles, Xiaoguo will be a fan." I interrupted him. "Shut up. You're a worthless guy." "Really? I was fighting so hard. After I got home, I had vomiting and diarrhea for 3 days and 3 nights. I even trembled when I walked. It had been a week since I finished my factory mission. I don't know if it's because of the mana poisoning characteristics of my body, or it was because of an overdose of venomous snakes. During the week I was sick, I didn't sleep for 3 whole days. I need the strength and will to overcome all difficulties and dangers. First of all, I can't eat these processed foods anymore. I need to cook my own food and eat well. I also need to buy better medicine. Anyway, let's go get the reward first. You will be so happy to see me again. Isn't this a distinguished guest of our store? Where have you been these 10 days? Why haven't you even shown up?" I said I was going to take care of something. "Really? If you die, I won't have to pay you. What a pity." I retorted, "That's not a good joke. But I was almost dead these 10 days because of the side effects of mana poisoning. But I don't need to say such things." Looking at Johnny, who was searching, I asked Dylan. Jenny took out a box and said, "He came over on the day the commission was completed and said he agreed to give you 40 million. The handling fee has been charged to Dylan. You don't have to worry. Bailey's also gave me a bonus. You count them, there are 601 million SER notes here. This is the currency made by the people above to show sincerity to each other. Of course, it is also our new number 1. Anyway, thank you for your hard work this time. I heard that you almost died at the hands of that old crocodile." I nodded. If someone hadn't helped me in the end, I would have been in trouble. Then I asked, "Have you ever heard of this man called Ivelin?" Jenny thought for a moment and said, "I only know that he is a member of the city government's direct staff. You can think of him as a member of the armed forces that the city government has invested heavily in and personally managed." I continued to ask, "So what kind of organization is the demon cave to which Crocodile belongs?" In fact, they only send invitations to people they like. There is basically no information about them from the outside world. All we know about are guys like Crocker who were already famous. If you encounter them, it is almost like encountering a natural disaster. If you are unlucky, you may even lose your life. If I'm lucky, I can live like you. But that's how this city is. That's why Dylan was so calm when facing death. At this time, Jenny handed me a note. "Didn't you ask me last time if I could help you forge your identity? I have already made the arrangements. You can just go there. Once you get your identity, open a bank account and a mobile phone number. Do you know how difficult it is to prepare so much cash?" I put the note away calmly. "But can I trouble you with one more thing?" After a while, I arrived at a room according to the address Jenny gave me. A bald man turned around and asked who I was. I said Jenny introduced me here. He told me to pay first. My brother's wife was a little surprised. It turned out to be a 1 million ser note. This is a rare item. Such a large denomination of banknotes is specially made for senior management. Ordinary banks rarely have such banknotes. It seems that Jenny thinks highly of you. After saying that, the fat man turned around and said that he would log into Birkin's household registration system first. I asked him if he wanted to change all the information on the system. The fat man denied it. No, I only changed the most basic information, such as personal information, name, age and photo, and it was not a direct change. It just changes the output signal automatically. It is literally a fake identity. It can be used as an ordinary ID card, but if someone specifically checks the system, the fraud will be exposed immediately. However, there is a more perfect way. That is to bribe the system administrator. Ask him to help modify the identity information directly, but this seems to require a random race. After a while, the fat man told me that it was okay and I could take photos here. Then he asked me what name I wanted to register. I thought for a while and said, let's call him Zhang Shifei. I need an external identity. After all, you never know when you will have to give up your identity as a criminal. That's why I was surprised when I came here. If you want to last a long time, you must be prepared. A moment later, I walked on the street with my ID card. This was the first time I felt that I had taken root here since I came to this world. The ID card in my hand is the evidence, although the names and appearances are all fake. Moreover, he is in a weak position and has a hard time moving forward in poverty alleviation. But I do live here. Today I feel like my existence is recognized. I picked up the phone and called Jenny. After the call was connected, I told her to contact me through this number in the future. Jenny said somewhat speechlessly, even if you only contact me when you want to take a job, it took you too long to get a mobile phone number. I don't think there is anyone in Valkan who took a month to open a mobile phone number like you. I think you are just a magician who knows how to practice in the deep mountains and forests. But if you want to take a job in this area, I suggest you find a formal job. For example, those simple part-time jobs. After all, if an unemployed person has a sum of money of unknown origin in his bank account, he can easily be targeted. Plus, if you keep living, your money will increase, so you should plan ahead, right? I thought about it for a while, although I haven't decided whether to continue working with him. It's not bad to have him arrange my work for me before I get to know the urban lifestyle better. After this incident, your reputation has spread. Who knows, someone might ask you to do something for them later. Anyway, there may be commissions that suit your taste and have higher rewards in the future. Please look forward to it. After saying that, Jenny hung up the phone. Although Jenny's attitude has become much gentler, I can only cooperate with him now, and I can't trust him completely. He must have heard from Dylan that I could use freezing magic. But he didn't tell me. We only had necessary topics to discuss. Next, I had to do something else that day. I asked Jenny if he knew where I could get a venomous snake. After Jenny took the venomous snake from my hand, he said, I know, but you have been using this cheap code before. The side effects of this thing will ruin you. Wait a minute. I'll introduce you to the venomous snake expert who does business in areas 30 to 39. I don't know if you've been there before, but the atmosphere there is totally different from here. There are amusement parks, resorts, ports, and industrial areas there, which can be said to be a collection of all the facilities covering a large area. You can go to this place in Area 31 and take a look. I took out the note Jenny had given me earlier. He only answered my question and didn't ask anything else. I don't know whether he wants to hide his intentions and stab me in the back in the future, or he intends to keep it a secret for me and want to have long-term cooperation with me. Of course, this question would not be answered until we revealed our cards to each other. But I was not going to sit still and wait for death. A moment later I arrived at the place Jenny told me. This is a botanical garden. Since Jenny introduced me here, I will go to meet this expert as a prisoner. This botanical garden seems like a huge jungle. There is actually such a place in Birkin. I walked inside according to the location marked by Jenny. I walked into a flower shop. There was an iron door inside the flower shop. That should be it. I opened the door and it was a basement. I walked inside along the stairs. After smelling the air, I was sure it was a venomous snake. It seemed I had found the right place. I pushed open the door and the room inside was filled with green gas. An old man inside asked in a hoarse voice, "Who is it?" I was indifferent. "Jenny introduced me here." The old man was stunned for a moment and then replied, "Are you talking about the little girl who sells wine in Area 49? I nodded, and the old man said gloomily, "What a surprise. I don't remember giving him the right to introduce guests to me." I was stunned for a moment. But then the old man shook his head and said, "No, I'm not rich enough to be picky about my guests. Anyway, I just need to deliver the goods and get paid. Tell me, what are you doing in the orchard?" I said calmly, "Before that, I wanted to know why the orchard was built in the botanical garden." The old man picked up a red flower and asked me if I knew what it was. I shook my head to indicate that I didn't know. The old man explained that this is a plant called Black Master. It has the functions of strengthening the body, unblocking meridians, and improving energy. This botanical garden is full of this material. Why should I go somewhere else to do business? I nodded to show that this was the case. Then he took out the venomous snake from his arms. "I want something similar to this. Do you have it?" The old man unscrewed the switch and said, "It's a manual button viper." Then the old man dropped a drop into his mouth. After tasting it for a while, the old man spit it out. "This is a cheap piece of junk. Why are you looking for this kind of junk? And its effect of strengthening the body should be weak," I responded. "I think it helps to increase magic power." The old man gave me a cold look. "You can use magic, but you don't look like someone who can fight physically." I said I was a magician. The old man said, "That doesn't make sense. If you fight by using magic to increase your physical strength, this body enhancer is still effective. But if you want to increase the magic power required to use a magician, it shouldn't be of much use. What's more, the enhancer you used is so poor, let alone the effect. Although there are rumors that a powerful magician may achieve amazing results after using poisonous snakes, but I don't know whether this rumor is true or not. Besides, you are so young, you are not a powerful magician. After all, it takes a lot of time to practice magic, right?" I thought to myself, so that's how it is. No wonder the venomous snake has such a strong effect on me. If I could get better medicine, it would definitely help me. The old man threw the poisonous snake into the trash can and said, "In short, this kind of garbage has poor effects and is not good for the body. It is an enhancer with strong side effects. You should buy something else," I said. "Then give me some high-priced but less side-effect enhancer." The old man asked me what my budget was. I pulled out 2 on a millionxer notes. 2 million zur? The old man responded to me and asked me to wait a moment. At the same time, the other face. Jenny was leaning over the bar with a sad look on his face. Then he turned to the old bartender and asked, "Do you think Van thought Dylan saw nothing? There's nothing to suggest from his performance just now." The old man responded, "Probably not. After all, a magician is someone who is very observant and will not miss any possibility. Right? Even a fool like Dylan wouldn't be able to differentiate between electricity and ice. That means Fan is not just an electrical magician. But why did he hide his strength from us?" The old man heard this and said, "Do you think highly of his ability? Regardless of his abilities, he has a really good personality. Have you ever seen a magician as easy to talk to as him? I know what you mean, but don't rush it. All we can do now is introduce him to a good job." "Yeah, I know that too. Then wouldn't it be better to introduce him to a corporate agency?" The old man asked, "Do you think Fan, who escaped death this time, really thinks it's better to entrust him to a corporate agency?" Jenny scratched his face and thought, he was lucky that he hadn't done anything wrong when seeing reptiles recently. The old man said that it would be better to arrange commissions for him from criminal groups and mercenaries during this period. Johnny stared at the computer screen and spoke. "Criminal gangs don't seem to be a good fit. Mercenaries are better. And he has experience working with a steel hand like Dylan. He shouldn't be too resistant to the commission from the mercenaries. If you introduce a magician to take the case, the mercenary agency will also fully support this. After all, you can still get in touch with the hired magician. For them, it is definitely a business that will make them earn a steady profit in the long run." The old man sighed and said, "Jenny, although I am now entrusted by Kaisai to do things for you, I can't help you forever. You are very good at judging and interfering, and you are also smart, but you have to remember that being too impatient will cause trouble." Jenny lazily made an okay gesture to show that he understood. The old man could only sigh helplessly. The old man on my side took out a box and said that this kind of enhancer met my requirements. This is Kathy Aid 107. It can strengthen the body, activate magic, and increase energy. The effect can last for about 6 hours. Side effects after the drug's effects wear off include headaches, vomiting, and a lower chance of coughing up blood. The side effects are relatively rare. The food is pretty good. I was a little speechless. Are so many side effects still considered few? The old man said that among the products priced at 2 million cells, this one has the least side effects. Of course, there are also varieties with fewer side effects, but the price will also skyrocket. And you have to remember that the things I sell here are real. I tapped the bottle and spoke. This is different from the filter device of the enhancer I used before. The old man said that this was not a new model that was activated by buttons but by magic. I responded in classical Chinese, this seems to be similar to what I used before, but the old man shouted angrily, how can you compare my product with that kind of rubbish? Don't you know that all they produce is a bunch of cheap stuff filled with chemicals? My products are made from premium natural herbs. I was amused by this statement. Then I picked up the box to show that I was leaving. The old man waved and shouted, welcome back next time. Meanwhile, on the other side, a mercenary leader is angry. There were 2 resignation letters on the table in front of him. Dre sighed. It was with great difficulty that he hired 2 magicians this quarter. In the end, they both left at the same time. The red-haired man weighed and said, from the beginning, I advised you not to trouble their captain too much. Dre slammed his fist on the table in anger. You know, I never asked them to do any dirty or tiring work. I have been serving them from the beginning to the end. I just hope they can make it through this quarter. Kittle said to the bald man beside him. It seems that this job is too hard for those 2 frail magicians. Bald Ike nodded and spoke. Yes, now that things have come to this, there is no need for you to be angry anymore. Dreyfus said, but this operation must be assisted by magicians. Where can I recruit people now? Kittle, do you want to try? Just then the phone on the table rang. Dre picked up the phone and it was Jenny calling. Jenny asked Dre if he needed a magician. Dre said excitedly, yes, we need exactly 2 right now. Jenny said he could introduce a magician to him. Draymond said in a disappointed tone, just 1? Jenny said confidently, don't worry, he is more reliable than 2 ordinary magicians. I assure you, this magician is different from any magician I have ever seen. When I got home, I began to comprehend magic. I am going to cast a barrier on my house. Generally speaking, this kind of barrier requires a delicate ritual after drawing a magic circle. But it is possible to infuse space with magic simply by concentrating. After creating a magic sphere that covers a certain space, security magic is cast on the surface of the sphere. When someone invades, it will trigger 14 consecutive electric shocks and lightning condensation. This way you can be sure of success. Before, when staying in a hotel, we could only take the most basic protective measures. Now that you have a house, you can be fully prepared. The first step towards future life is already taken. Just then the phone on the table rang. It was Jenny who called me. He told me that there was a job and asked me to come to him later. It is indeed much more convenient to have a mobile phone. You can also judge the situation of the city of Birkin based on the news. I was looking at the news on my phone. The Charlotte manufacturing plant was unable to launch new products due to an explosion. The police said they had notified residents within a 2-kilometer radius of the factory to evacuate, and no casualties were reported. The cause was a gas leak inside the factory that caused the explosion. In other words, the people involved in the factory wanted to portray this incident as an accident. Is this what it feels like to work for a company? Never mind, at least it was done cleanly and neatly. The reward is high enough and there is no need to worry, although it is good to have no hidden dangers after the mission is completed. But I feel a little uncomfortable when I think there might be other activities going on out of my sight. I have to be more careful when accepting corporate commissions in the future. And that guy Crokin, I had only been on this job for 2 months when I came across the criminal organization Morcubal. Even if this body of mine is extremely gifted in magic, I am no match for that monster. To survive in this world, I need to find more means besides magic. I walk to the bed and open the package on the bed. This is my second-hand preparation. I'm really looking forward to her performance. After a while, I arrived at Jenny's bar. Jenny introduced me. This mission was commissioned by the Kalankar Mercenary Agency. They planned to recapture a building, and for this they needed firepower support from magicians. I asked, is that why the price is so high this time? Jenny responded, it's not cheap to hire a magician. You should have noticed that magicians are in short supply in this world. I said indifferently, I thought the next mercenary agency I would cooperate with would be Antares. Please tell me the details of this commission. Okay, first there is a gang called Skavens. They occupied a joint office originally used for financial consulting and illegally used power generation facilities inside. The financial company was worried that the transaction information would be cleared, so they were kicked out without using a circuit breaker. The commission to retake the office was taken over by the Kalankar Mercenary Group, and they were about to start the action. So the mercenaries hired by the financial consulting company want to hire me, right? What exactly do I need to do to provide fire support? The job is simple, just a handsome magician like you has to cast some magic behind them. I pondered for a while, and Jenny said robustly, if you don't want to work with mercenaries, I have other jobs to recommend to you. After all, the story of the magician who came back alive from the old crocodile is quite famous in this circle. But if I were you, I would choose to accept Colin Carl's commission, because mercenaries care a lot about money and will not default on their debts or deduct money. I was a little confused. Could it be that someone often defaults on payments or deducts commissions? Jenny explained, this circle is full of hooligans and trash, some of whom just walk away after the job is done. Of course, precisely because it can prevent such things from happening, capable people like me can charge fees using integrity and safety as selling points, and I collect fees from both the customer and the person who takes the order. I was amused by his words, then looked up and said, I'll take it. Please send the location and date of the task to my phone. The next day came, and the Kalinkar mercenaries were ready for battle, but they were waiting for the arrival of the magician. Dre glanced at his watch and said, he should be here too. Wayan said, Captain, what do you think of this magician? Dre took a breath and said, I heard he is a pretty powerful electric magician. That fierce woman Jenny said she would accept 2 million from me even if she died. So I can only trust her judgment. G. Dale was puzzled. An electric shock magician? So amazing. Could he be someone who has been deeply involved in the field of magic research for many years? Dre said he didn't know, but his ability should be reliable. As for his personality, he didn't know. At this moment, I signaled to Dre. Vian said happily, finally it's here, but the next second he froze in his place. Kildare said in disbelief, Dre, could it be that child? And it was me who came. I came to them happily while eating breakfast and listening to them. I asked them if they were from Colin Carr's mercenary agency. Dre asked me if I was a criminal. I said calmly, it seems I have found the right place. Then I continued to eat my sandwich in big mouthfuls. Kittle shouted at me speechlessly, Hey, the battle is about to begin. What are you doing? I don't care. I'm having dinner. Can't you see? You have to eat on time for your health. Even if it's a nasty pepper sandwich, you have to eat it. Kittle shouted at me angrily, who asked you that? But Dre stopped him. Then he said to me, we spent 20 million ser just to hire you. I hope we won't hold each other back in the next battle. I nodded to show that I would do my best. Dre waved his hand and said, now that the magician is here, let's explain the battle plan in the end. Dre turned on his computer and projected the screen. I have already introduced it to you before. Now I will briefly explain it. Our ultimate goal is to make the power generation facility server on the roof of the third floor work properly. The 2 routes leading to the third floor, the elevator and the stairs, are all guarded by an armed gang composed of 3 weavers of Skywinds. Although these people are not difficult to deal with, we must not take it lightly because they also have magic users. Wayan led the second team to invade the rooftop, and after dealing with the enemies, they checked whether the server was operating normally. The third team was led by Ike and I, and was responsible for breaking through the defense on the first floor. The first team followed Kildare's command and entered through the second floor window, forcing Skyvenser's men to the vicinity of the stairs and capturing them all in one fell swoop. Then the second team moving down from the roof and the first and third teams moving up from the bottom all reshaped the same combat method. Do you understand? I stood aside and analyzed. His name is Dre, right? Although he spoke quickly, his pronunciation was clear and he was very calm and collected. The qualifications of a field commander probably describe that kind of person. Dre went on to say, as for the magician, please provide as much firepower support as possible during our first wave of attack. Then I followed the third team to provide support from the rear, and I nodded to show that I understood. Seeing this, Dre shouted, I must bring you back. Okay. Get ready for battle immediately. The man spent 20 million to hire a magician, but the one who came was just a young boy, which made him feel uneasy. You have to know that powerful magicians are all quite old. After all, comprehending magic is a very time-consuming thing, but he can only choose to trust the other party. Because the mission was about to begin, it would be too late even if one wanted to change people, and magicians were extremely rare in this world. Captain Dre announced the start of the operation after explaining the tactics. The mercenaries immediately shouted I understand with full momentum, and then all began to check their weapons. In this world where magic can be used to strengthen the body, it is not surprising that there are short-range and long-range weapons that can maximize their power. It's just that people will look forward to the miracle called magic at some point. So people in this circle are so eager for the existence of magicians. The target building is heavily guarded at the moment. Dre told me that although the possibility is not high, the other party may have hired a magician. If you sense the presence of other magicians, please tell me immediately. At this moment I saw a line which should be a visual extension of magic. It seems that someone is trying to find out the strength of our troops. In that case, I reached out and grabbed the thread. By following these veins, I could easily find the location of the other magician. My magic power continued to extend along this line, all the way to the other party's starting point of casting the spell. I smiled in frustration and found it. As long as the opponent's magic is completely destroyed, all the impact force will flow towards the caster. The guards standing nearby panicked when they saw the magician fall. I calmly said to Dre, the opponent's magician just used detection magic on us, but I immediately followed his magic and subdued him. You can attack now. Dre leaned forward to look. As I said, the guards in the building are in chaos at this moment. Dre waved his hand to signal action, and the two guards instantly threw out 2 smoke bombs. The smoke bomb was thrown accurately in the middle of the guards. Then the smoke began to spread, accompanied by the other side's terrified shouts of being attacked. Dre took out the venomous snake in my eyes and let me try the effect of this new model. My body was instantly filled with energy after inhaling it. Dre just told me to try to provide strong firepower support during the first wave of attack. I picked up the lightning source and quickly shot lightning forward. The lightning magic instantly knocked down the guards in the front, including the fire threat on the second floor. Dre and the others were shocked by this scene. Wei shouted in surprise, "It's amazing." He defeated all the opponents. After a brief shock, the mercenaries rushed into the enemy's formation. Dre shouted loudly. Their formation was in disarray. "Get in now." Dre knocked down one man with his sword, but the attack of another man was also in front of him. Dre dodged sideways, then shot at the opponent's chin. Then there was a golden headshot. Wei blocked the opponent's machete, then pushed him away and mocked him, saying how dangerous it is to swing such a sharp object around. As he said this, he hit the other person with the baton in his other hand, but the other person dodged it in anger. The other person shouted triumphantly, "There's a flaw," but the next second Wei swung the baton in his hand backwards, and this time it hit the other person's cheek hard. The man let go of the knife in his hand and covered his mouth with his hands in pain. Wei swung the stick in his hand. This was a flaw, but at the same time, a guard on the roof had already aimed at Wei and the next second he was shot in the head by someone. It was Kittle. How dare he target our old demon? But the next second Kittle noticed the danger. At this moment, dozens of guards rushed out of the building and pointed their guns at Dre. It was impossible for Kittle's sniper rifle to kill so many people at the same time, but Kittle was not panicked. 2 men holding shields rushed in front of Dre and blocked the incoming bullets for him. After blocking the first wave of fire, the 2 threw their shields with all their strength. This successfully knocked down the guard at the door, but in the blink of an eye, several more guards rushed out. Dre snorted coldly. "Let's make it quick and decisive, no more nonsense." The 2 sides were on the verge of a fight. It was at this moment that Dre noticed that the person standing in the middle of the other team had a different aura. But the next second, the man disappeared. Dre was shocked and rushed towards the magician. The sturdy man said disdainfully, "That electric shock magician is you. I will kill you to seal the reversal." The bayonet in his hand stabbed at me mercilessly. As a weak magician with no close combat ability, what should I do if an assassin gets close to me in battle? Of course I pulled out the truth. The big guy didn't expect me to pull out a gun. I was very satisfied when I saw the strong man fall down. The effect was good. This gun withstood the 3 shooting magic combinations I cast in a split second, and its overall performance was very stable. This star revolver is pretty good. Dre came to me in a panic and asked me how I was. I said it was nothing and I would take care of my own safety. "You don't have to worry about me," Dre nodded and thought in shock, although the shooting just now was a mistake. His movements of pulling out the gun and pulling the trigger were so smooth that even I might not be able to imitate it. Kittle was surprised. Could it be that all the famous magicians these days are good at using guns? Wei-An shouted, "How cool," Dre whispered. "It seems that the value of magicians will increase again." At this moment, the enemies at the entrance have been cleared. Dre ordered everyone to move forward. Kiddell's first team went straight to the second floor. They first jumped onto the second floor, then threw out the hook to secure it, and then they broke the second floor window. Team members cover the second team up. In an instant, the small room was filled with the sound of bullets flying. Seeing this, Wei-An led the second team forward. Wei-An rushed to the second floor in one step, then stepped on Kiddell's shoulder to jump to the roof. We on the first floor also got up and moved forward. Dre took the lead and killed several people, and I followed behind him without any delay. When I saw someone who was out of food, I gave him an electric shock. The enemies on the first floor have been cleared. Dre turned on the intercom to inform the other 2 teams of the situation on his side. Then he asked what was going on at Kittle. Kittle said, "This is Kittle. The first team is still in a standoff with the enemy and cannot use the intercom to communicate for the time being." The next second, the sound of gunfire came from the intercom. Dre hurriedly asked Kildare what happened, but there was no response from the other end. However, after only 2.5 seconds, a voice came from the intercom. "The second floor has been cleared. Sorry, the last person was hiding like a rat, and it took us a long time to deal with him." Dre breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Okay, the third team will work with the first team to clean up the third floor next." "Got it, let's make a quick decision." Then a group of us rushed to the third floor, and after a while we had cleared the third floor. Dre glanced at me and thought that the magician had played a big role in making things go so smoothly. He single-handedly eliminated 10 of the enemy's forces before we entered the building. The reliable magician is indeed extremely lethal. At this moment, Kittle came to Dre and whispered, "Captain, can we dig that magician over here?" Dre turned around and said unhappily, "There is no money in the group." Kittle said dissatisfiedly, "Then we can save the money from hiring those useless newcomers and invest in him. I think he can do the job of 4 people. It would be very easy and efficient to work with a magician like that. By then our firm will become more famous, and we will be able to make a lot of money." "Wait until you make a lot of money and become a rich man," Dre said speechlessly. "Stop dreaming and continue with your mission." Dre turned on the intercom and spoke. "Wei-An, the third floor has been cleared, and the other enemies have been dealt with. We will go to the rooftop to meet you now." But suddenly there was a piercing sound from the intercom. Wei-An's weak voice came over intermittently, "Yes, Captain." Before he could finish his words, the intercom lost signal. Dre hurriedly stood up and rushed to the roof. I said, "You go first and I will be there soon." After that, they rushed to the rooftop. I was half dead when I climbed to the rooftop. This weakling's body is too poor. When Dre and his team reached the roof, they did not encounter the attack they had imagined. The entire roof was filled with members of the second team. Dre hurried over to Vian to check on his injuries. Then he shouted to use regeneration potion on the wounded. Although the regeneration potion is expensive, it is not as valuable as the lives of our team members. With the use of the medicine, Wei-An's wounds gradually healed. Wei-An said weakly, "I'm sorry, Captain." Dre comforted him. "There's nothing to apologize for. It's great that you can hold on. I was observing the situation from the side. What's going on?" Although all the members of the second team were fatally injured like Wei-An, none of them died on the spot unless they were highly trained. Otherwise, it would be virtually impossible to do this. If he is such a master, There is no reason for him to run away after injuring everyone. I thought for a while and then said, the murderer is still here. My words immediately caused panic among the mercenaries. Dre turned to me and said, Magician, Vian is in your care. I nodded. Dre stood up and shouted to everyone, asking them to evacuate the wounded first and for the rest of the people to remain on alert. The players in the field began to carry out their tasks in an orderly manner. Dre gritted his teeth and asked, where is he hiding? And on the watchtower, not far away, a figure suddenly appeared. What a surprise! I thought there might be guests coming. But I didn't expect them to come so soon. Dre raised his gun and shouted, you bastard! You injured my team members like this and you're still sitting there watching them die? The other party said indifferently, do you know how much money we invested in this operation? Skyvans called together 3 branches and squeezed all resources to prepare for this operation. He seized the server that could connect to the 53rd area's evil tax management system and bribed dozens of leaders to finally get to this point. Dre shouted angrily, are you crazy? Are you going to touch the reserve fund of the Birkin city government? The man sneered, that's right, but we don't need to provoke the city government. The puppet district government alone manages tens of Issel's worth of assets, as long as we choose a regular power generation facility. If we disrupt the stability of the power supply in Area 53, the security of the system will naturally go wrong. We are just taking advantage of the loopholes of the corrupt agency. Does that make you unhappy? Dre said calmly, well, I just think this business is not suitable for a retired soldier. The man laughed. It has been more than 3 years since I retired from the front line. I thought I no longer looked like a soldier. It seems that it was all my illusion. Dre said that the exquisite murderous aura emanating from you is enough to prove that you are definitely not an ordinary criminal. I don't intend to pursue the right or wrong of this matter, nor am I interested in how much effort you, Skiveyes, put in. The reason I'm here is just because we accepted this commission, that's all. The man responded, it doesn't matter. When I first started, I never thought of giving up because it would be too early to give up on just one mercenary group. Then he reached behind him and took out a red pill. Dre quickly ordered to open fire, but the man jumped off the watchtower at a very fast speed. He bit the pill into pieces in the air, and after landing he turned completely into a slave. Facing the hail of bullets, he actually arrived in front of Hansen, who was holding a gun, in an instant, and then pierced Hansen's chest with one claw. Then he said coldly, aren't you curious why I didn't kill the person who came from heaven? After saying that, he threw Hansen and his hand away. Dai Ling beside him said in horror, he gave Hansen's heart to. The man continued frantically, because if you want to use power, you need fresh fuel. It seems that he uses black magic. He is so hungry for human flesh, so he must be a vampire or a bloody killer. I remember that this ability has very strong side effects. Does he want to fight it out directly? But the man chopped the shield in Ike's hand into pieces with just one blow. Then the man came behind Dai Ling, and with Dai Ling's horrified look, the man bit off Dai Ling's neck in one bite. This guy doesn't taste very good. Delay Jinzhuang immediately asked everyone to attack him. Facing the people rushing over, the man shouted excitedly, what do you smell like? Keep shooting, don't stop. The man, who was shot several times, was surprisingly unharmed. He said crazily, it is impossible to kill me with such a trivial trick. It seemed that Kidder was about to be killed. There was a sudden roar of thunder in the sky, and a sudden and shocking bolt of lightning struck the man's body. It was the phantom thunder that I used because I successfully adjusted the attack range and magic usage in that attack. I avoided the mercenary group and the power generation equipment. As long as the opponent can sense the signs of lightning strike with his naked eyes or senses, he can avoid this move. If the opponent avoids the falling lightning, then his next target will be me. The next second, the man's attack reached me, but was blocked by my protective shield. I dodged backwards, and he really came towards me. I had expected him to do this, so the shield was not strengthened, but was made to absorb the impact at the moment of breaking. The people of Kittle who reacted continued to suppress the fire, and the man finally became serious. Even if I get shot, I have to take care of that magician now. A guy who can use moves like Thunderbolt is really dangerous. I took out the revolver family enhancement magic, which allowed me to use up all the bullets in an instant, The bullets were taken out like cannonballs, and they split in midair and hit different parts of the body. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the man's internal organs. This blow finally injured him. After using the mind changer, I have been preparing. But one shot wasn't enough to knock him down. I had to use another move to finish him off. This body is too weak. One small mistake could cost me my life. But after the experience of those recent commissions, I have thoroughly understood that sometimes you can't be afraid of progress. I stepped forward and grabbed the man's chin hard, then launch a super strong electric shock. The man howled in pain from the electric shock I gave him, but he still grabbed my hand and sneered, "This trick can't kill me. I'm calm, but I can still hold on, right?" If my electric shock had been used on an ordinary person, his head would have been turned to ashes long ago. But there was a guy who caught a bullet with his eyelids before. It doesn't seem so unreasonable that this guy's head can withstand the electric shock. I raised my gun and pointed it at the man again. Then 2 more bullets were fired, and the man screamed in agony, covering his wound. He shouted at me frantically, "Don't let me catch you." No, but the next second, Dre and his men rushed up and pinned the man down. The man struggled frantically, but could not move, and the mercenaries who suppressed the men also failed. I asked Dre what to do now. With Dre's knowledge of magic, he couldn't judge the man's situation. There was only one person present who could analyze what drugs he had taken and his current condition. So Dre looked up at me and said, "Magician, do you have any other ideas?" I said calmly, "He used black magic. The principle of black magic is not complicated. While greatly improving strength recovery and endurance, it requires sacrificing a lot of things. The most basic is to use human flesh and blood as energy supply. If the supply is insufficient, thinking ability will gradually decline." When he was trying to resist my attack, his mental state was definitely very unstable and he couldn't even speak clearly. If I didn't continue to inject it into his blood and heart, his thinking ability would be greatly reduced and he would even fall into a very dangerous situation. Black magic has such serious side effects, so naturally there are very few people who know about it. The same is true for the people of the Clinker mercenary group. After taking the medicine for a period of time, the black magic is indeed indestructible, but after enduring a large amount of magic and attacks, the situation is different. I stepped forward and grabbed the man's shoulders. "You guys get out of the way first, I have some ideas. Let me draw out all the dark magic that is flowing in your body, and then pour my magic power into your body so that I can force out all the dark magic in your body." I used my luck magic to continuously draw out the dark magic power, and the man kept wailing instinctively, "Kill him, he won't resist anymore." I looked at the black magic in my hand. What should I do with this thing? Generally speaking, magic power cannot be preserved for too long, so people use special containers that match it to store it. But I can't make a container right now, and I can't find such a thing. If I can keep it, maybe I can explore the mystery of black magic. Holding on to it would only waste my magic power. It's a bit of a pity, but let's just forget it. Wei-in at the side praised me. "You are really amazing. Are you really a genius? I can see your magic even from so far away. This is the first time in my life that I have seen such a strong ability to control magic. Today, I finally realized how inferior my magic power is." I was a little shocked that he saw me using magic from a long distance. No one in the Clinker mercenary agency noticed that I had drained that man's dark magic. If what he said was true, then he might have been born with a very sensitive magical perception ability. Maybe his talent lies not in charging into battle, but in controlling magic. Wei-in stood up and said, "I have seen many people who are complacent because they are magicians, but no one can control magic as delicately as you. If I can imitate a little bit of your movements, can I become a little bit stronger?" I asked him if he wanted to become a magician. Wei-in thought, "Actually, I thought it would be great to work in a mercenary group. As for now, I am not sure." I thought to myself, I understand what he wants, but now I am just surviving by relying on my talent. No matter how hard I tried to fit in, I just didn't belong. I patted Wei-in on the shoulder and said, "I think Dre is a good boss. At least his advice should be much better than what someone like me can give you. After all, starting your own business is not easy. Also, if you have already decided on your target, it might be a good idea to look for Jenny." At this moment, Everyone in the mercenary group was cleaning up the battlefield. When Dre saw me coming, he bowed to me and thanked me. I responded that it was regrettable that casualties had occurred. Dre sighed and said, "There is nothing we can do about it. Our line of work is like walking on the edge of a knife." I looked at the man on the ground and said, "After you collect his blood, can you send him to Jenny?" Dre Wenyen agreed immediately. Then Dre took out his phone and transferred 20 million yuan to me. He also paid the handling fee to Jenny and asked me to transfer it to Jenny. After that, Dre handed me a business card. "This cooperation makes me realize that you are indeed very capable. I hope I can have the opportunity to cooperate with you next time." I took the business card and said, "I will if I have the chance." Then I turned around and said goodbye. Dre is an excellent mercenary and a reliable businessman. It would be a good idea to keep in touch with him. Kittle muttered, "Wouldn't it be better to ask him? Ask him if he is interested in joining us." Dre was amused by Kittle's words. "Kittle, you actually still have such thoughts after seeing his lightning magic. His strength is so amazing that it is normal for him to be targeted by the electrical engineering tower. With his talent, maybe someone can hire him, but what is certain is that no one can monopolize him," Kittle retorted, "but don't you also feel it's a pity? Where else can we find such a powerful magician?" Dre said calmly, "Can you guarantee that we won't become enemies in our future work?" "Kildare, that's why I always say that you must leave a good impression on the people you work with. If we go on to pester him, we may temporarily feel that at least we have no regrets. But that would not leave him with a clean and decisive image. No one knows what kind of butterfly effect their words and actions will cause. I just made the best choice I could under different circumstances. All we can do now is pray for better luck." After completing the mission for the Dre mercenaries, I came to Jenny's bar. As soon as I walked in, Dylan extended his hand to greet me. "Look who's here. Isn't this my teammate?" I didn't pray well. "Who are your teammates?" Dylan gradually came closer to me and spoke. "Hey, if you dare to scold me, I will be hurt. I will be sad too, so let me have more friends. I am a little confused, what enemy?" Dylan explained, "I heard that you took a taxi with the Dre mercenaries this time." Jenny was very excited. Before Dylan finished speaking, Johnny grabbed his head. "Ignore that bullshit. How do you feel about working with the Dre mercenaries this time?" I said indifferently, "Nothing special. Compared to dealing with the monster Kroken, this mission is so easy. The cadre from Skawens was also easy to deal with. I heard that he was a retired soldier. If he was a cadre from Area 51, I would have an idea of his level." Dylan received the check. Bugosquenz's Renyi did not persuade him to be a fat thing, and Uber burned Ren because of his love that he took the stem tube from them. I asked Jenny if their core leaders were very powerful. Jenny responded, "Yes, not only the cadres, but also the strength differences between the heads of each branch are very large. Especially be careful of the heads of the Skevens branches in areas 20 to 29. I thought that since Jenny specifically emphasized it, I'd better keep it in mind. Then Jenny said to me happily, "Let's not talk about that for now. This incident has spread in the circle. That means more and more customers will come to the magician who can change thunder. So I also suffered a little for our great magician. These are the commissions that are specifically looking for you this week. Pick the one that interests you. And this is the blood you asked them to collect." I'm a little surprised. There are so many people asking me to do something for them. This also means that many people are particularly eager to hire a powerful magician. So let's maintain a long-term cooperative relationship in the future. I can also make an exception and help you waive the handling fee. Jenny, you are too biased. The bartender next to me handed me a glass of wine and said it was a gift for me. I thank you for that, Dylan said. I want the same one. Jenny held out his hand and offered 100,000 sailors. Jenny, are you really going to do this to me? 200,000 sailors. A few moments later, I returned home and started vomiting and having diarrhea. I felt like my internal organs were churning. But there was nothing I could do. To reduce the side effects of snake poisoning, it is best to spit out the wine. This body is really rubbish. Although I really wanted to rest immediately, Jenny was in too much of a hurry. The dates of the commissions he gave me all overlapped. After I chose one, I would have to reject the others, so I had to choose quickly. I flipped through the commission list in my hand. There were commissions from private bodyguards, many mercenary agencies, commissions to assist the Research Institute in conducting experiments, and even a commission from Skyvenzer. I ruined their organization's plans. They don't care about that at all. These guys are really not normal. Jenny couldn't have been unaware of this. He must have left it there for me to see. He's quite naughty. Apart from private commissions, commissions from mercenary agencies and criminal gangs, as well as commissions that were done in a hurry, the only one left was a pharmaceutical company. I recently added a new website that I frequently visit, which is the online public auction site operated by the municipal government. Basically, there is everything here. What I am most interested in is the first-class manufacturing elixir of Stania Pharmaceutical Company. Stemonia, the price is as high as 1 yuan. It is a product that is closer to an industrial product among spiritual medicines. The actual effect is only to increase physical strength. But I am not in a position to be picky right now. My most urgent need now is to alleviate the negative effects of this body. It looks like we have to take on the commission from Amna Pharmaceuticals. Even if I can't get the magic medicine, it would be good to find some clues to solve the sleeping pill problem. And the Bialnam Autonomous Region delegation decided to visit Birkin in 2 months. A week later, I didn't immediately accept the commission from Amna Pharmaceuticals. In order to confirm the power of shooting assistance magic, I started to lose the ability to catch wanted criminals. My auxiliary shooting magic is pretty powerful. Not only is it powerful, it also saves a lot of magic. Before I have enough magic power, shooting magic should be able to help me a lot. However, shooting auxiliary magic is not omnipotent. Even if this magic is used, it can only make the shooting faster and stronger. If I learn auxiliary inherent magic, I can improve my combat effectiveness. But there is more to consider now. Then I came to Jenny's bar. Jenny raised his hand. I'm taking the commission from Amna Pharmaceuticals, right? Time is running out. Give me the stuff quickly. I took out the order form and asked him how he knew that. Jenny said calmly, this is the only commission that is still valid today. Also, I feel like you're inexplicably interested in me. Jenny took the order and started to make a phone call. At this moment, a voice rang out. Are you the new customer Jenny mentioned? I asked him if he knew me. The other party said of course he knew me. Aren't you the famous electric shock magician? There are rumors about you everywhere in this circle. Some people also say that you are a bounty hunter who only cares about money and is catching some small characters everywhere. He was right, I have been catching bounty criminals to make money recently. It is not unfair for me to be said like that. The man continued, however, this description was not malicious. Most people who were rewarded by this city could be divided into 2 categories. One is the small fry who just want to enjoy life while the wine is here. The other is the big shots who don't care about being targeted. I responded, what an extreme classification, so who are you? The man put down his glass and said, you only remember to ask me now. Then he threw me a business card. I was shocked. I didn't expect to see him here. A superpower. He controlled the business card and flew it towards me. I took it calmly. The man continued, just call me Sebastian. Jenny and I are in the same business. Looking at the business card in my hand, I didn't notice any preparatory movements from him, nor did I sense any magic power. I guess he is a magician who uses mental power. I put down my business card and said, are you a telekinetic person? Sebastian smiled. Is that even a question? I have demonstrated my abilities in front of you. It seems that the rumor that you are practicing in another place is true. Jenny snatched the wine away. Sebastian, didn't you say you would leave after you finished your drink? Why do you come to mess with my guests? It's no fun if you use this method. Sebastian said with a smile, don't get excited yet, although I gave him my business card. But I also have something for you, the elven lady. Jenny took it and said with some dissatisfaction, a call to action? Why did they issue a call for action at this very moment? Isn't it still 2 months before the Bialnam Autonomous Region delegation visits? As a result, the call for action has been issued now. Sebastian received the call. It's a bit strange indeed. It said that it was released so quickly because of the strong support of some important person in a certain place. This is what I saw in the news yesterday. It seems that a delegation from the Bialnam Autonomous Region is coming to visit. Therefore, The municipal government issued a call-up order to individual business owners. But look at their expressions. This summons must have come from someone with bad intentions. Sebastian stood up and said goodbye. Then he stretched out his hand to me and said, "If you want to try another job, you can always come to me. I will pay you differently than Jenny." What a cunning fellow. But he is really good at talking to rich people and entrepreneurs. If you want to take private commissions, you can definitely look for him. I asked, "Aren't you going to stop me?" Jenny said indifferently, "If I stop the guests, will they not leave?" Then I asked about the commission. Jenny said that the people over there would be here soon. After a while, footsteps were heard at the door. A very gentle-looking man asked if this was Johnny's bar. Jenny kept talking inside. "Come with me, let's go in and talk." Looking at the facilities here, I asked Johnny why he didn't tell me about this place earlier. Jenny said angrily, "You still have the nerve to blame me. Isn't it because you just leave after accepting a commission? Let's not talk about that. My name is Jenny, his name is Fan." The man opposite said timidly, "Hello, I am Luan, the sales director of Amna Pharmaceuticals. Since I don't have much time, I'll get straight to the point." Then he took out a contract and handed it to me. "Since you have decided to accept our company's commission, you should have a general understanding of the content of this commission." I said I had read the content. Amna Pharmaceuticals is currently developing a neurosedative through crowdfunding. If the new drug is successfully developed, the company's net profit is likely to skyrocket. However, the local pharmacist in the headquarters wants to use the power of criminal gangs to seize the pharmaceutical company's new drug patents. So what do I need to do specifically? Luan said, "First of all, I want to make it clear that this is different from the information disclosed to the outside world. Our company has actually completed the research and development of new drugs. We had intended to send the sample to the patent office before the local pharmacist knew about it. Finally, someone inside the company leaked the news and handed me a photo. This is where samples of new medicines are kept. Area 54, no 8. I hope you can help us get the samples hidden in the warehouse. Submitted to the patent office the day after tomorrow." "Sorry for bothering you," I said coldly. "Your name is Luan, right? Since you are entrusting the matter to me, please make it clear." Luan asked me what I meant. I sneered and said, "Are you playing dumb? This doesn't end once the sample is submitted, right?" Jenny also tilted his head and said, "Yeah, why didn't you say anything about the criminal gang? Can you guarantee that he won't run afoul of criminal gangs?" I then said, "I can hide without anyone noticing and then hand the sample directly to the patent office. Is that what you want me to do?" Seeing Luan's reaction, I was finally sure that they didn't want to hire a runner, but a big hand. But these guys are really insidious. Did they really think I would help them take down that criminal gang while returning the samples? Jenny came closer to me and said, "Should we have to negotiate the terms with them now?" Then Jenny knocked on the table and said to Luan, "Go ask your boss. How much are you willing to offer to make him willing to kill the criminal gangs when he encounters them while running errands? We'll go wait now, just call us without worry." After coming out, Jenny said to me that the other party did have some tricks up his sleeve, but they were childish and a little cute. He probably wanted to lower the price. I asked Jenny if this commission was difficult. Jenny thought for a while and said, "I feel it shouldn't be too difficult. The criminal gang that teamed up with local officials should not be that large, probably only about 100 people. Most of them were not much different from the level of Skaven's members, except for the somewhat special mixed-race boss. The others are nothing special." I nodded and said, "Okay. But the commission fee must be increased." Jenny smiled and said, "Leave it to me, I will definitely squeeze another 10 million salon out of them." Just then Luan came out and nodded to Jenny. Jenny proudly gave me an okay gesture. At night, Luan and I went to the mission site. Luan glanced at me and said, "We are a little late. The others should have arrived by now." I was a little surprised. "Others," Luan explained, "we hired some people to guard the warehouse. Although the number is far less than that of the criminal gangs, they should be able to help you." I thought to myself, it seems that they don't intend to let a magician like me fight alone. So I don't know whether those people can be of any use. But besides that, I need some information about new drugs. Should I try to get him to tell me? I spoke up and heard from Jenny that you clearly knew my abilities, but you deliberately lowered my price. Luan said angrily that this was a misunderstanding. I then asked, "Are there no other samples in the warehouse?" Luan responded that yes, there were also samples of other medicines for sale. The warehouse was originally the boss' personal warehouse. I asked him if there were any common medicines such as sleeping pills in it. Luan said that there should be some, and I just needed sleeping pills. This is perfect. A moment later we arrived at the warehouse of the pharmaceutical company. At this moment, some people were already standing in front of the warehouse. Luan unbuckled his seatbelt and wanted to get out of the car, but I asked him to wait. The next second, a strong man knocked on the car window and asked Luan if he was from Amuna's company. Luan nodded in confusion. The next moment, the sturdy man started smashing the car, shouting, "Get off!" Luan was so frightened that he didn't know what to do. The strong man pointed at the people behind him and said, "This is different from what you said before. What do you mean by calling 10 people?" I said indifferently, "It seems that everyone else except me is a bunch of garbage. I took a sip of poison. Let's get out. Since I have taken your money, I will not let you suffer any loss." The burly man saw me and yelled at me, "Who are you? Why are you staying with him? He didn't hire us to deal with criminal gangs." Their noise made my head hurt. I said calmly, "Can you be quiet?" The sturdy man Wen Yen immediately pointed at me angrily and said, "Asshole, you're done too. If you are targeted by criminal gangs, there is no escape. I can understand what they are worried about. They would be overwhelmed if they were asked to deal with criminal gangs. But I didn't want to appease them." Seeing that I was indifferent, the strong man swung his fist at me. I dodged it by turning sideways, and at the same time gathered lightning in my hand. Then I grabbed his back and started to shock him. The others were shocked by my actions. The pharmaceutical company actually hired a magician. Suddenly, the crowd started to discuss noisily. I didn't have the patience to listen to their discussion, so I just told them to shut up. Then he turned around and said, "It seems that you know something about criminal gangs. But even if you vent your anger here, it's just a waste of time. Don't refuse to drink the magic wine when you are toasted." Suddenly a voice rang out from the crowd. A red-haired young man came out and said disdainfully, "Magicians are amazing." Then he raised his arms. A moment later, flames burst from his hands. The red-haired man said fiercely, "You may not know. Not all magicians are powerful, especially those who would take on such commissions." It was definitely because he had too little magic power and was driven out of the magic tower. The crowd immediately started talking. I was amused by his words. I encountered a person with superpowers twice in one day. A user with the power of flame, a firebender. Although they are called differently, they are all famous for their direct and powerful strength. However, if he was called here without knowing the situation here, then his ability is probably not very strong. I said calmly, "So what do you want?" "Give me a lesson, then burn this car to ashes." The red-haired man said arrogantly, "No. A weakling magician like you will only be a burden to us. I will burn you to death too." It turns out that in this circle, there is no one who is easy to talk to. The redhead came at me with his flaming fist. I reached out my luck shield. Then he grabbed his fist. Strength is the means of communication. Then I closed my eyes and strengthened my magic. Then he used his magic to disturb the opponent's flames. The next second, the red-haired man's flames spread to his entire body. The red-haired man was burned and screamed, "Not all fire users are immune to fire." The red-haired man knelt on the ground and begged for mercy from me in pain. "I was wrong. Please forgive me." I let go of his hand and felt the numbness in my hand. His grip strength was so poor that there was no way I could continue to teach him a lesson. Seeing this, others rushed forward to put out the fire. If the warehouse caught fire, it would be the end. I said to Luan, "You will only get into trouble here. You should go back." Luan ran away as if for his life, and then I came to the warehouse. There was only one thing the company entrusted me with: send new samples to the patent office. The time for submitting samples is the day after tomorrow morning. That means I have to hold on for another day and a half from now on. I searched the shelves for the sample the sales manager had mentioned. A moment later I found the sample. I could have just taken the sample and run. But that's not what pharmaceutical companies want. If we must confront the criminal gangs, then I will beat them all here. At this moment, everyone outside was like a headless fly, not knowing what to do. I went up to them and asked them what happened. The burly man I had electrocuted before whispered, "We don't know what to prepare for that," I sighed. It seems that they really know nothing. I asked them how many people there were in total. The sturdy man said that there were 15 people in total, including the red-haired man who had just woken up. I ordered to block the entrance to the warehouse first, and then divide all personnel into 3 groups to patrol in turns. Report to me immediately if you find any abnormality. I have other things to do. I came to the back wall and saw that everything was dirty and messy. Is it because it was hidden in such a place that it has not been discovered yet? The wall itself is still very high, and it takes some effort to climb over it. The problem is that the wall is severely damaged. I gathered a magic called Killing Thunder and placed it on the ground. This is a mine magic that will explode as long as certain conditions are met. This magic will cause powerful damage to objects within the attack range. However, the burst range is small and it is not suitable for group attacks. Then I will change the trigger condition. The original triggering condition of the magic was to approach the Killing Thunder, but now it has been changed to a medium force sensing mode, which reduces the explosion power but expands the damage range. After a while, I succeeded in improving it, then I set up a few more in other places. Just then the red-haired man came to me. As soon as they met, she fell to her knees. "It was my fault just now. I was blinded by anger and offended you. I will never do it again," I said calmly. "No need to apologize." The red-haired man stammered, "What should I do to make you forgive me? Please give me a way out." It seemed like she thought I would deal with her after this mission was over. Although I didn't intend to make a fuss about it, there was no need to tell her about it. I patted her shoulder and said, "You came really quickly. Don't you want others to see you kneeling down and begging for mercy?" The red-haired man quickly bowed his head and begged for mercy, saying that it was all his fault. I heard this and said, "Okay, it'll give you a chance to make amends. There will be guests here tonight. What you have to do is simple. That is to light a fire on the shoulders of your guests, just like you just did to me. Got it?" The redhead said he understood. I came to the warehouse, and I didn't have much Viper stock. It would be a headache if criminal gangs invaded in batches. If there is any problem, we can only shoot to delay time. At this moment, I heard a noisy sound outside. I spread my magical perception, and in an instant my magic enveloped the entire factory. Within a radius of 2 kilometers, there are 2 people with very strong heat, and including other personnel, there are about 150 people. I stood up calmly, and a man ran in and told me in panic that someone was outside. I said I knew, and they were moving very fast. It's impossible that all these 100 people can use magic. Did they drive here? At the same time, countless off-road vehicles arrived outside, and the dazzling lights filled the entire warehouse. The people outside were suddenly panicked and began to lose their composure. At times like this, we must keep morale stable. I said calmly, "You just guard the door. They'll take care of the rest." What I didn't expect was that the red-haired guy would actually stand in front of me. It seems that the threat just now worked, but why is the other party still not making any move? The next second, I was startled. Could it be that they were trying to divert attention? Then there was a crashing sound against the wall behind. The others suddenly became panicked. They kept hitting the wall, and it seemed that they wanted to hit the whole wall. Now we can determine who will return alive. The next second, a violent explosion was heard, and a burning off-road vehicle was blown to the front. Looking at the burning SUV, I was a little surprised. Although I strengthened the lethal thunder, its power is not that strong. Then I saw gasoline burning on the ground, and that was no ordinary fuel. There seems to be something special about it. It seems to increase the power of the explosion. Immediately afterwards, dozens of explosions were heard. The off-road vehicle that was blown away flew into the sky like a meteor. Now is the time for them to pay a heavy price for their reckless attack. At this moment, 2 figures appeared in front. Those 2 people should be the ones whose heat I sensed was stronger. Looking at each other's appearance, they are magicians. This is the 3rd time I have met someone who is also a magician. The first person I met was Professor Alice, and the second time was the detection magician Skyvenzer. But I am disappointed with his poor performance. But the magicians this time are completely different from him. Could they be the leaders of the criminal gang? I'm so curious, what kind of magic will they use? What kind of magic is it? What effect will it have on the wand? Should I strike first? The next second I came to my senses. Calm down, the most important thing now is to understand the situation first. I used detection magic and found that there were 10 destroyed vehicles in total, and about 100 people remaining. In that case, I used my magic to ascend. How long do you plan to last? Come in, you must have something to tell me. Upon hearing this, the other party immediately started moving forward. I said to the guard next to me, "Go tell everyone to close their eyes and shoot as soon as they come in." The man asked me in confusion why I closed my eyes. I said I didn't have time to explain. Just do as I say. Then the man told the others my instructions. When the group of people on the opposite side walked into the warehouse, I activated the magic of ever-changing light. The blinding light threw the defenseless enemy into chaos. Then my people began to fire wildly. He directly knocked down the opponent's front row. While the opponent was wailing without eyes, the red-haired man rushed into the crowd with great momentum. The scorching flames devoured several people in the blink of an eye. The others looked at the scene in horror. Then he ran away. Red Hair is so arrogant that I will burn all of you guys who are running away in fear. Looking at the chaotic scene, if I use magic again, I will probably expose my identity as a magician. However, I will press on. I reached out and activated the lightning chain. The next second, the gangster who was trying to escape was electrocuted to death by me. With the firepower of others, the gangsters were beaten without any chance to fight back. I will help them till here. Next, it's time to deal with their leader. The man with the crew cut said calmly, "Graham, you didn't tell me there was such a person here." Graham said that he had just found out that, with the capabilities of Amna Pharmaceuticals, they simply could not afford such a powerful magician. "We have already established this." The man with the crew cut stood up and said, "According to what you said, that boy shouldn't be here. Look at that boy, why is he smiling so happily? It's really interesting." Then the man with the short hair pointed at his head and said, "Hey, you are not a fool." I retorted, "None of your business. Instead of this, why don't you worry about your men first?" The man with the crew cut turned his head to take a look, then said indifferently, "Don't bother with them. They are just a bunch of disposable trash anyway. It would be nice to just clean them all up here. It's time for me to put down those packages and run away." I retreated into the warehouse. Graham said, "Carl, stop talking nonsense." Carl retorted, "What's wrong?" He looked so weak at first glance, and he was gonna die soon anyway. It wouldn't hurt to talk to him now. Graham said dissatisfiedly, "If you continue to disobey orders, we will reconsider whether to hire you." It seems that the magician is not a member of the criminal gang, but the guy wants to abandon the gang leader. After all, people always strive for higher positions, and it seems that someone has offered him better conditions. Sure enough, wherever there are people, there are rivers and lakes. It's the same everywhere. Carl gritted his teeth when he saw my sneer. Look at how proud he is. He has been laughing all the time. Let's kill him and find the sample. Graham's luck magic is satisfactory. That's right, we don't need to delay it too long. The wand in Graham's hand emitted a purple light. Then a barrier appeared out of nowhere. I saw the texture and flow of his magic. Even his every move can be captured by me. This is barrier magic. Is he trying to block my path? I wasn't gonna sit there and wait for death. I pulled out a revolver from my pocket and fired the last bullet, which directly shattered Graham's magic. Seeing this, Carl sneered, "No matter how much you think he is a weakling, he will never surrender obediently." Graham shouted angrily, "How dare you? A half-baked magic user. Destroy my magic." I said calmly, "Magic user? Are you scolding me?" Graham scolded Carl, "You don't even know the basic common sense. When fighting a magician, you have to protect me well." Carl scoffed, "None of my business. That's hilarious. He just fired one shot. Are you so scared? He hasn't used magic yet. Graham is not confident enough. He might use magic first." Carl said, "Graham, he should be a magician who controls light or lightning. When a magician of this system uses magic, the light cannot be blocked. Don't you know that?" Looking at their expressions, I finally understood why they were so lax in front of me. Generally speaking, Magic that manipulates light is extremely powerful. But at the same time, this kind of magic also has obvious visibility. Since most light magic has precursors, experts can easily deal with it with just this. Of course, these are only for ordinary magicians, not me, Carl said confidently. As long as he makes a move to use magic, I will rush up and tear him to pieces. Looking at Carl's fangs, I remembered what Jenny said. Jenny said that the gang leader was mixed blood. No wonder he showed murderous intent directly. It's almost time to start. I sneered. I didn't notice it because the light was too dim. Now I see that you are a fool. I pinched my nose and said in disgust, the disgusting dog smell on you is coming to me. At least take a shower. Carl was shaking with anger. Then he said gloomily, you are really sharp-tongued. They'll tear your stinky mouth to pieces first. I encountered the legendary werewolves, a subhuman race born with the instincts and bodies of beasts. They are extremely ferocious and powerful. But this half-blood werewolf in front of me was not like that. His bite force was so weak that he couldn't close his mouth, and could only let his saliva flow out continuously. The toes grew crookedly into the flesh, and a lot of hair fell out, leaving the skin exposed. This is probably the extreme state of the werewolf hybrid. Carl roared at me in a delirious manner. I will kill you and leave no intact body. I sneered, you even stuttered when you spoke. It seems that you can't control this form, and I guess you can't maintain this state for too long. Come on, show me what you can do. The next second, Carl disappeared instantly, but I was not in a hurry because my protective shield magic blocked Carl's attack. Carl's sword couldn't break through my protective shield and retreated. Then he rushed towards the gap in the protective shield again. I looked at Carl calmly. As the collision sounded, Graham's eyes widened. He couldn't believe the screen in front of him. My protective shield actually stopped Carl again. My protective shield can temporarily block heavy weapons. I stacked 5 layers in total. It was natural that he couldn't break in. They probably didn't expect that I could actually block their continuous attacks. I raised my pistol and pointed it at Tal. Now it was my turn. I cast a strengthening spell on my pistol, then fired a powerful shot which knocked Tal over first. Carl trembled and kept backing away, looking at his horrified appearance. I don't think he would be so scared after taking a bullet from me. But since we are going to take action, we have to teach him a lesson and keep the initiative firmly in our hands. I used a lightning chain on Carl. Carl was electrocuted and passed out on the spot. But I don't plan to stop. I raised my palms to the sky. The next second, the sky was covered with dark clouds. A surging force of thunder continued to condense. Change the thunder, the power of thunder and lightning that destroys everything is covered with clouds. Carl was completely roasted. Graham was panicking. I was a little speechless. I thought the magician would take action when dealing with the werewolf. He couldn't be chanting magic all the time. I gave him so much time to prepare. He should be able to show off some pretty good magic. Let me see it for myself. Graham's magic wand continuously emitted golden light, which was extremely dazzling, although at first glance it seems to be just glowing. But it is actually a magic that can emit powerful shock waves. The principle and structure of this magic are not complicated, so it is easy to learn, and it can not only give the enemy a sense of oppression visually, but also has amazing power. Judging from his appearance, he should have set all places except himself as the direction of the attack. Could it be that he wanted to level this place and then make plans? This won't work. I cast my luck magic on Grim. After I figured out the direction of his magic, I took away his control of it and sent the shockwave toward the ceiling. The next second, a strong shock wave rushed straight up. Graham stared at this scene blankly. Then he turned his head to look at me. Then he suddenly burst into laughter, and his laughter was very exaggerated. He said to me while laughing, "You used magic props, right? I knew it the moment I saw you. You are just a small-time thug hired by a pharmaceutical company to clean up the mess. How could you possibly have such a powerful force? It seems like you got lucky and got a super powerful relic, right? You can't fool my eyes at all. Your inferior magic has probably been exposed by now. Now it's my turn to show off my skills." I was a little speechless. Could this guy be trying to make me let down my guard by talking nonsense? Or maybe after seeing Carl being beaten up by me, He mistakenly thought I was using some magic item or something. No, he had been betrayed by his own expression. The trembling pupils and the cold sweat on his forehead all proved that this guy was terrified. He must have been full of doubts after fighting me just now, if I had used my own strength to perform the thunderbolt that knocked down Carl, and if the move that knocked away his impact magic in an instant was not accidental, then these doubts would have pushed him to a desperate situation, making him fall into fear without certainty. In other words, the person in front of me doesn't even trust his own feelings and judgment. Idiot. I don't need to listen to your nonsense anymore, Shadow Strike. Instantly, a shadow surged towards Graham, and in the blink of an eye, the black line wrapped around Graham's feet and hands. Before Graham could react, his hands were strangled to death. Graham knelt on the ground and howled, looking at his hands on the ground in disbelief. This guy must be wondering how I did it. Eve been preparing this move since they stepped into the warehouse. Shadow absorbs shared magic, Shadow Assault. Although this move can exert the most stealthy power in an environment where it is pitch dark, the caster can only control the shadow projected from the soles of the feet, and the shadow spreads very slowly. But if this method is used in a dark warehouse, the above limitations will not be a problem at all. In addition, he had determined from the beginning that I was an electrical magician, which made it easier for me to use other magic without arousing his suspicion. I was expecting to fight him to the death. I came here for a good fight, but I didn't expect it to end so boringly. I raised my gun and pointed it at Graham's forehead. Graham immediately lost control of his bowels and bladder. He begged for mercy in fear. I reached out and covered his eyes. Graham suddenly screamed loudly, and I asked him to calm down. As long as you answer my question like this, I might be able to spare your life. Are you the only people that can be mobilized at the local medicine garden? I see you seem to have brought the entire criminal gang here. I wonder if there are any other people. Graham replied hastily, no more. I think there is a high probability that he will not use force again. That's good. I guess I won't have any bugs bothering me when I send samples to the patent office. Graham begged as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. As long as you can spare my life, I will definitely help you accomplish a lot of things. I am now a quasi-level magic user who has just reached level 3. I will definitely be a good helper for you and I promise not to let you down. I said lightly, which means you are a level 3 magician. Graham trembled and said, yes, this is the level at which one can be officially recognized by the public as a magician. Although I don't know what realm the level he mentioned corresponds to, the level is not the standard for measuring the combat strength of a magician. According to him, people like me who don't even know their own level should be the lowest class. I took my hand away from Graham's eyes, and Graham asked in surprise, are you going to forgive me? But I pressed the pistol hard against his forehead. Graham immediately shouted in despair, no, but I am not a hesitant person. I absolutely cannot leave any trouble behind. I'm sorry. After dealing with Graham, the werewolf behind me stood up. I feel a little helpless. It's really laughable. I thought it was over, looking at the werewolf rising from the ground. Could it be that my last move wasn't powerful enough? But this is impossible. Phantom Thunder is one of the most powerful magics in the electric shock magic. If he was strong enough to survive my Phantom Thunder, he wouldn't have been able to make a living in this kind of criminal gang in the first place. In other words, it should be the influence of moonlight. Werewolves are moonlit beasts that can absorb the power of the madness of the night. This desire of greedy nature will force the dead body to move. I dodged the werewolf's attack by leaning to the side, and at the same time I was amazed that under the influence of the moonlight, a werewolf hybrid could display such a level of regenerative ability. So how powerful a subhuman race are purebred werewolves? If I were facing a purebred werewolf today, I might not be able to win so easily. I stepped forward and grabbed the wolf's head, then used an electric shock to kill it completely. It took about 5 minutes to deal with both of them. There was still a lot of noise outside, and although there was no need for me to intervene, we were in the same group after all. I always feel a little guilty if I do a Shanguang Hu Do. I picked up Graham's wand, although he was not a great magician. He still carried this wand with him even though it was so fake, which meant it must be a good thing. In fact, I have also considered whether to use magic video auxiliary props or relics, but I am not well off. Just buying a poisonous snake is a bit difficult. and I didn't feel any difference when holding the magic wand. I left the warehouse and came outside. At this moment, the people outside were still fighting, and the red-haired man jumped left and right in the crowd. Good, I just use you as a training ground. I raised my magic wand and gathered my magic. Lightning condensed. Instantly, countless lightning balls fell from the sky and knocked down a group of hooligans on the spot. When they saw the magic wand in my hand, they immediately shouted in fear, "Run, the boss and the magician have been killed." As soon as these words were spoken, the others fled in all directions like birds and beasts. The other guards on my side breathed a sigh of relief, seeing their excitement. It seemed that they had gone through a hard battle. Although I was responsible for dealing with the enemy's leaders and mages, we did have a strategic history in terms of numbers. At this time, the red-haired man was lying on the ground gasping for breath. He seemed to be telling me how hard he had fought, but whether he was being friendly or not was not important. He's pretty interesting. His superpower is just that he can make his arms spit fire. I really didn't expect that he could survive the battle just now with this superpower, and he was standing at the front line to attract the enemy's firepower. Being able to survive a bloody battle and enjoy the taste of victory means that he has begun to qualify. Looking at the burn marks on the wall, was he forced into a desperate situation and broke through the limits of his firepower? But he did his duty, so there is no need for me to torture him any further. I walked up to him and praised him, saying thank you for your hard work. The red-haired Wenyen was immediately delighted. I looked at the wand in my hand. It did not increase the casting speed or the magic power conversion rate. Even the power of the magic is the same as before. However, my mana recovery seems to have increased slightly, although it still feels like less than a handful of sand. I let go of the wand and dropped it to the ground. It turned out to be a piece of junk. It was a fighter among junk. His greatest use is probably to announce to everyone in battle, I am a magician. When I choose equipment in the future, I will try to avoid things that will reveal my identity at a glance. Just then the strong man called me, and I turned around to say thank you to everyone for their hard work. Others also happily said that you have worked hard. I then instructed that from now on, those who were not injured should take the seriously injured to the hospital, and those who were only slightly injured should stay here with me to guard the warehouse. I returned to the warehouse alone. At this moment, I felt weak all over and my hands were shaking. Was it because I suddenly relaxed? Fatigue suddenly came over me. Should I use the venomous snake? Forget it, there aren't many poisonous snakes left. I have to economize a little just in case. The rest of the day went by without any further incidents, and the criminal gangs did not attack again. Everyone left the place excited at the thought of receiving commissions from the pharmaceutical company. After seeing everyone off, I sorted out the warehouse and made a simple report. Now all that was left was to submit the samples to the patent office. But before that, I need to get some medicine that I need. I took a bunch of sleeping pills, fatigue-relieving drugs, and various vitamins. After I was done, I stood up and prepared to leave. After seeing the demon at the door, I still picked it up. Although this thing is useless, it should be able to sell for some money. I took a taxi to the patent office, feeling very uncomfortable. But this commission has not officially ended yet. The perfect conclusion would be reached only if the samples were sent to the patent office. Although it is indeed annoying to ask me to do this kind of errands. But this is my first time near the city area. A moment later I arrived at the patent office. This is the BA area. The environment here is different. It is clean and quiet. It is worthy of being the area where the rulers of Birkin live. This is where the administrative agencies of the municipal government are gathered. Only public officials and city government administrators come and go here. This place looks like a temple from some mythology. I'd better go in and deliver the samples quickly. Just then an old man shouted to me, "Young man, why did you come to a place like this so early in the morning?" I said calmly, "What else could I go to the patent office for?" The old man responded, "Wow, it seems you have developed some rare technology. You are quite capable despite your young age." I thought to myself, what should I do? But since he is exercising here, he is probably not an ordinary old man. When someone like him comes to talk to me, he probably doesn't just want to chat with someone, right? Now is not the time to get involved with powerful people. If you don't want him to remember you, it's better to end this conversation as soon as possible. But he was not looking at me, but at the demon behind me. I often came up to the old man and asked with a smile, "Was the show I showed you yesterday interesting?" The old man asked me what I meant in confusion. I said calmly, "I set off a lot of fireworks so that people far away could see clearly. Aren't you waiting for me here just because you enjoy watching it?" VIP. I finally met the boss behind the gang. When I arrived at the patent office, an old man was waiting for me at the door. I instantly guessed his identity by looking at the magic barrier behind me. I took off the magic barrier and stabbed it hard into the ground. "I'll give this back to you. It seems that you hold that magician in high regard. My condolences," the old man said calmly. "So you know all this?" I thought to myself, how could I not know this? This man recognized Graham's obsession and knew I would come to the patent office. So wait for me on the road I must take. Plus, he can freely enter and leave this area under the name of sports. There is only one person who meets all the above conditions, and that is a local official, but I never expected that he would not send someone to stop me. "But come here in person," the old man continued. "Although Graham's strength is average, he is a good kid. After I decided to pursue a career in politics, he assisted me wholeheartedly. But such a subordinate is now dead. Can you guess why I came here to see you? I don't care, you are here for revenge." That being said, this is probably not the correct answer. The look in her eyes was not filled with hatred or disappointment or anger, but with strong greed. The old man said frankly that he would not fall. "So I won't beat around the bush, you can be my man. A magician like you who is both talented and capable has to make a living alone. It's the city's loss." From the moment I saw the thunderbolt in the cloudless night sky, I made up my mind, I will continue to climb, and I will also help you to climb. I will give you a place in that forest of towering skyscrapers. His words made me feel a little disdainful. His every word reveals his ambition. I admit that he is not an ordinary person, after all. He covets wealth that does not belong to him, as well as the fame and power that he has not obtained, and the talents that do not belong to him. It is indeed rare to find someone as greedy as him. But even so, there is no need for me to be his lackey. I said, "What a pity. Although you may want to recruit me, from my perspective I don't need it." The old man said calmly, "Are you rejecting my invitation?" I said that even if I really have difficulties at the moment, there is no need for me to come to you. If I need someone powerful to help me, there are people who are more powerful than him. He is just a local official, not even the director of the district government. But it's not a good idea for me to make an enemy of such an ambitious person as him. Even if I don't want to help him, I can still give him some face. Want to help me continue pouring? Of course, if you are willing to help me, I will repay you one day. The old man asked me what this sentence meant. I responded, although we don't have much friendship, there's no need to be enemies, right? After returning to Jenny's bar, Jenny, who learned about this, started to curse. Is he crazy? Although I know that there are many very paranoid old guys in the official circle, he is probably too paranoid. I asked Jenny if he thought they would make another move. Jenny thought, I don't think that would happen. Although they are difficult to deal with, they handle things neatly and efficiently. If the other party really comes again in the future, it will probably be after he has climbed to a higher position than now. This means that he really wants you as a talent. It doesn't hurt to know 2 or 3 politicians. They can be annoying, but they can help you a lot. He speaks as if he has experienced it himself, but that's normal. He opened a human resources agency at a young age to serve customers. I guess his previous experience was not ordinary. Just then Jenny's phone rang, and then Jenny said happily, "It seems that the amnesty ceremony patent office has registered the new sample. So the money has been transferred. Do you want me to transfer it to you now?" I stood up and responded, "Thank you very much. I have somewhere else to go, so will take my leave now." Jenny asked me to wait a moment. "Fan, besides taking jobs from me, you must have looked for work somewhere else." I was speechless, and Jenny was a little speechless. It seems that what I said was right. You have to find more sources of income as soon as possible, so that you will not be suspected by the monetary authority, Jenny advised worriedly. "I am not rushing you, I just want you to try to find a job first." I walked out of the bar feeling exhausted both physically and mentally, although I can't wait to go back and rest. The most important thing right now is to replenish my sharp tongue and eliminate fatigue, so that I can move around like a normal person. A sharp tongue is essential to me. After a while, I arrived at the botanical garden. When the old man selling medicine saw me, he laughed and said, "Look who this is? Isn't this my distinguished guest? I was blind last time. Please forgive me. I didn't expect you to be such a talented magician. I was a little speechless, boss. Have I offended you in any way?" The old man laughed and said, "What are you talking about? I'm just a little surprised. Since the rumors about you have reached my ears, it means that you have almost adapted to this circle. This is indeed beyond my expectations. You don't even know what type of poisonous tongue you use, yet you are still alive today." This guy seemed to be smiling, but he was actually thinking about this kind of thing in his heart. "But it's better than the guy who always smiles and doesn't show his true feelings," I said indifferently. "So you don't plan to sell things to me?" The old man quickly said, "No. The door of the store is always open for you." I took out a dozen bills to show that I wanted 100 of the same venomous words I used last time. The old man immediately smiled happily, and it was indeed my fault for not being able to see the truth. "I didn't realize that you are a hard-working young man with a bright future. Why didn't you tell me earlier that you make so much money? I have a poisonous tongue to recommend to you." Then the old man started searching. After a while, I left the botanical garden with a sharp tongue. As soon as I got out of the door, I became very strong and managed to hold on. Then I felt dizzy and my consciousness gradually faded away. Fortunately, I pulled out my venomous tongue in time. I feel better now. I also know that I can't rely on a sharp tongue. But if I want to survive here, I have no choice but to do this. I feel like I am walking an endless tightrope in this cold and cruel world. Although it has been going well so far, will it always be like this? What is the most important thing after working hard to earn money? That's rest, of course. After completing the task at the pharmaceutical company, I rested for a week. During these days, I only did the most basic stretching to prevent body stiffness, and ate only the food I prepared myself. At the same time, I calculated my sleep time. Try to get your life back to normal. My body is as fragile as glass. This broken body is really unbearable, but I am gradually getting used to it. But I wasted a lot of time looking for a part-time job. Regular part-time work 3 days a week is not an option. Night shifts are also not an option. I feel like it will take more time to find a good job. Also, I cannot do any work that requires physical effort or is dangerous. During this period, you also asked me when I would start taking on commissions again. I said that I still had things to research and needed to rest for a while. I came to Burka's poetry library again. I came here today with a clearer purpose. I'm going to look into some summon magic and elven warlocks. Because after this fight with the werewolf and the magician, I gained some new insights. That is to create a vanguard to use in battle. The tactics used by those two people are very simple. The werewolves fight in the front, and the magicians support them in the back. To deal with this kind of tactics, one needs either extraordinary abilities and talents or crushes the enemy hidden, or use the same tactics to gradually gain the upper hand. Otherwise, you can get rid of the long-range attacking opponents first, and then deal with the enemies in front. If we can temporarily create a vanguard through summoning or elven magic, we can feel more at ease during the battle. Of course, it would be more efficient to hire a team member who can act as a vanguard rather than researching this kind of magic. But I also have to try to do what I can. Let's start with summoning magic. As far as I know, the conditions for using summoning magic are very strict. The process of specifying the desired characteristics of the summoned beast and then summoning it is very difficult, and it tests your luck more than your magical talent. The cost of a summoning ceremony is about 2 Iser. If you spend so much money and still don't get a good summoner, it would be a waste of both time and money. As for other methods, if summoning magic is similar to drawing cards that depends on luck, then the elf warlock cannot even be called magic. The spiritual power used in this method is completely different from the magic power. Yuan Lai is similar to shaman and necromancer. It seems that it is of no use. It would be fine if it was expanded naturally when studying shared magic. Forcing myself to learn the content of this field is too risky. But as long as it can distract the enemy's attention for a short time, a voice sounded at this moment. "Really? You haven't been gloomy here for a month, have you?" The person who came turned out to be Alice. I remember she was a professor in the magic department of Lavatellan University. "I asked you to come find me, but you didn't even show up. What's the point of staying here and working behind closed doors?" Then she picked up the book on my desk and looked at her complicated expression. Could she be imagining something? Then Alice turned to me and said, "If you are forced to study these things because you have no talent for magic, it is actually not the best choice. Especially for summoners and elven warlocks. Learning these requires not only talent but also some fate." I said I knew that too. Alice Wenyen asked in confusion, "Since you know this, why are you still reading this? If you think you have the luck, you might as well just buy a lottery ticket. Even someone like me who teaches at a university has only seen 3 elven warlocks in real life. I advise you to give up your unrealistic dreams as soon as possible." She was right, except that the advice only applied to the average person, not me. Of course, if I had revealed my identity directly, I wouldn't have to listen to her nagging at me. But I don't think I need to do that. Alice picked up the book in front of me and then sat next to me. I asked her what she wanted to do, and Alice said unhappily, "Is there any need to ask? I plan to explain it to you in a simple and clear way so that you can easily understand the above content. If I were to explain to you how difficult summoning magic is to understand and how much talent is required, you would probably give up. Without further ado, I'll get started." Then Alice began to talk incessantly about the contents of the book. I couldn't help but sigh that he was worthy of being a university professor. He explained it with ease, and she's a really nice person. After confirming my enthusiasm for learning, she did not directly reject it, but chose to respect it and approached me cautiously. On this road where there is nowhere to turn to, just having someone to chat with is enough to comfort me. While I was lost in thought, Alice asked me unhappily if I was listening. I said of course I listened very carefully. Alice glared at me, and I felt a little guilty. Alice then said, "Come to think of it, I don't know your name yet. Can you tell me? I've spent time giving you lectures, so you should at least tell me your name." I thought to myself that she was one of the few people who knew my true face, so I had to be extremely cautious about telling her my name. I said calmly, "Do I need to tell you my name? In this library, we are just apprentices studying magic together. Isn't it enough for us to just share magical knowledge and communicate with each other?" Alice stood up and spoke to the minister. "Well, since you said that, does that mean you are ready to learn magic from me? Then let's meet every 2 weeks." I said I didn't have that much time and there was no need to bother. But Alice simply ignored me and said, "See you next time," and left. She really just left after saying that, without listening to my advice at all. A very random person, but also a gentle and kind strange woman. After a while, I left the library. Alice seemed to be interested in people who had no talent but were still very passionate about magic. Although I don't know why she did this, it has nothing to do with whether she is worthy of me or not. I couldn't help but think of Alice's pretty face. If it's once every 2 weeks, maybe it wouldn't be bad to follow her advice and come and study. If I could get in touch with the professor at the Magic University, maybe she could help me find a respectable job. This way, I have a routine in this city where I have no relatives. I just want to meet someone for a class. But I have to be so cautious, it feels a bit desolate. I came to Jenny's bar. As soon as we met, Jenny said he wanted to post my name on the dark web. I asked puzzledly why, and Jenny shook the cocktail glass in his hand and said that because you completed your task so well, the complicated procedures went much faster. This happens occasionally if the customer is happy with the person who handled their order. I asked the old bartender what he was doing with the light. Jenny responded that he had another job before and now he has to go back to help out every 2 weeks, so sometimes I have to cover for him. Special cocktails are fine. Seeing this, Dylan flattered me, Jenny, and said, "What kind of cocktail is this? It's so beautiful, I won't be polite then." Jenny smashed the cocktail glass in his hand on Dylan's head and congratulated him. "Try no more, asshole cocktail, you idiot." Dylan asked Johnny aggrievedly why he hit him, and Johnny cursed him, "You idiot, you messed up the commission and you still have the mind to drink. It's impossible for those bastards to pick out the wine right after they open it. What can I do?" I thought for a while and said, "What would happen if my information was logged in the dark web?" Jenny responded that there is actually no risk in logging in, except that your resume will be recorded on the internet. When you accept a commission, you can specify the category, reward, or item you want. Generally speaking, you need at least 10 months of experience to register on the dark web. However, this time it was the client who first proposed the suggestion. I guess the client who didn't connect with me wanted to nominate you, but he didn't have the channel, so he was a little anxious. Dylan saw Cece and said that it was not the one who wanted Dujan to be excellent and not to be angry. I couldn't help laughing when I saw the two of them fighting, and then I spoke, but the fact that I had to log in my information online was a little bit resistant to me. Jenny explained that if you were worried about your privacy being leaked, you didn't have to worry. The dark web was like a backdoor in the city government's main communication network, and it had a very high security level. Dylan nodded to indicate that this was correct, and I was a little confused. Jenny said that without the cooperation of the municipal government, it would be impossible to operate this business. I thought so too. This street is full of bloody gunfire every day, but no pharmacists or police from the municipal government come to cause trouble. It would be abnormal if no senior officials from Birkin were involved. Jenny then asked me what additional conditions I needed to add when accepting a commission. I pondered for a while and said, intrinsic magic. You can write that I want extremely rare inherent magic, such as time and space or powerful regeneration magic. Otherwise, it must be a precious relic or elixir that is second only to these. Jenny hesitated. You were the one who asked him what he wanted, and he just came in to answer the question. Do you think he doesn't know that these things are hard to come by? Johnny turned to me and said, yes, I was too nosy, sorry, I committed a crime. I responded, I didn't say I would only accept that kind of commission. I just wanted to specify the remuneration and category I prefer. Jenny took out his computer and said, I see, he'll go and modify the information on the dark web. The modification application review process is slow. It will probably take about a week. I suggest you don't accept any commissions during this period because your value will increase greatly after you officially log in. If you accept the commission now, it is said that you will also lose 10 million sire. I nodded, but I still needed 20 million Salon to buy Stimonia, a sky-high price. Dylan asked me if I was short of money. I said I needed money. Dylan responded, recently, there is a way for mercenaries to transfer money. As long as you have the ability, you can transfer 10 million seals a day. Are you interested? I nodded and asked him to tell me more about it. You should know that there are many undeveloped areas in the Ignore Island and Ignore Hill area. There are many stray sea silvers who died because of wandering unmanned ladders. The piled-up corpses attracted many animals, causing them to be infected and become unmanned. So the restoration of the government began to witness the mercenaries dealing with this matter. The price they fired was 1 million seals for an unmanned ladder, and 10 million seals for killing the corpse. The next day I arrived at the 5th outpost of the 50-zone regional management headquarters of the Environmental Bureau. I followed the crowd to line up to receive the task. The staff told me that my number was 481. My number will appear on the big screen. There will be 3 other people in my group. He asked me to go in and wait. I was a little unhappy that there were 4 people in a group. I prefer to fight alone. The price is good, but I need to kill at least 20. At this moment, 3 people came to me. I asked them what they wanted to see me for. The leading man held out his hand to me and said, hello, are you no 484? I am no 483, Michael. I also extended my hand and shook his. Yes, I am no 484. My name is Fan. Michael pointed to the long face at the side and introduced her. Her name is Allison, but the woman spoke first. My name is Gloria. That's it. Let's go. Looking at the 3 people walking together, it seemed like they already knew each other. I used magic to explore their abilities. Can they only use the most basic magic to strengthen their bodies? I hope they won't hold me back, Michael said to me as we walked. I heard this place is not too far from the undeveloped area. That's great, isn't it? Undeveloped areas refer to the areas after 55 and the unnumbered areas that have not yet been sorted. It was a vast ruin. It became a deserted place. Gloria said aloud that it must be hard for people working outside of Birkin. Although the rampage of pollutants has only recently become so serious, those who travel between the city and the outside world have always had to be wary of the threat from pollutants. Allison has found out everything, so I won't say much. If you dig factories or architects outside the city, you will find a lot of terrible things. They were right. The Blackheart factory I worked in before was manufacturing and selling the Black Magician Stone Crusher. Michael went on to say, however, for us mercenaries, the development zone is not a bad place to come across. After all, it is not common to get a good job of 1 million cells for eliminating a pollutant. Allison got a slash by pointing her shotgun, and my shotgun would come in handy in taking out those guys. Krolia turned around and said to me, "Speaking of which, it seems that you only brought a revolver. Do you have any other equipment?" Only then did I understand their real purpose. Now I don't have to hide it from them. I said calmly, "I am studying electrical magic." Michael asked me if I meant pure elemental magic. I said I could understand it that way. The three of them were silent for a while, and then Michelle took a breath and said, "It seems we have misunderstood. We thought you were a magician who used popular magic like gun-type magic? After all, solitary magicians usually have some abilities that allow them to cooperate with other team members at any time. This is the first time Eve heard this excuse, although I have heard before that magicians who use pure elemental magic are not very popular because the initial pure elemental magic attack efficiency is not high. But I was a little surprised that they were so blatantly rejecting me. Could it be that they wanted to get rid of me right from the beginning? Miker said, "If that's the case, we may have to consider whether to cooperate with you. After all, we also want a partner who can provide sufficient firepower support." I said calmly, "Let me ask you a question. When we defeat the polluted body and go to claim our revenge, do we have to go with 4 people? Michelle hesitated and said, "I don't think so. After all, there is a chance of casualties during the crusade, so they probably won't ask the team members to gather together before seeking revenge." I said in a cold voice, "If that's the case, then there's no problem. If we get together with different people, it will only hurt the harmony. We should just act separately from now on." Miker asked hypocritically, "Is this really okay?" I looked back and saw that, although they said so, their faces were full of joy. I said coldly, "If you had told me your thoughts at the beginning, you wouldn't have to wait until now. Why make it so complicated?" Michelle stammered, "That's not the way you could say it. We don't want to be too blunt." I responded, "Then let's go our separate ways here. If we want to achieve a result that satisfies both parties, we really need to keep some distance." Gloria laughed out loud. "We would certainly be grateful if you could do that." Miker said hypocritically, "Don't say anything. He chose to do this. He probably has his own considerations." I ignored them and turned away. To be honest, their attitude really makes me angry. But it would be too stupid to fight them directly to show off my ability. Anyway, if I team up with them, I will be the only one who suffers when the money is divided in the end. Michael looked at my back, and Gloria asked in confusion, "Why are you staring at him? We've lost a guy who's a drag on the team. If there's a loser in the team, he'll be pissed off." Allison agreed, "That's right, just the thought of cooperating with the Mercenary group's expedition team is annoying enough. We don't have the mood to take that sickly person with us. After he goes for a walk and realizes how difficult it is, he will probably go back to the city obediently." Michael was deeply troubled. Everything was going as he wished. But why did he always feel that something was wrong? When he heard that we wanted to break up, he immediately agreed. If he did this because he was so powerful, then we might have automatically given up our very precious connections. On the other side, I easily killed a contaminated creature. So this is what a polluted body looks like. In fact, they seem even more disgusting. According to the information provided by Dylan, the contaminated body appeared about 3 years ago. These contaminants were created by black users of large-scale toxic biological weapons experiments in undeveloped areas. The aim of this project is to harness the powerful viral factors responsible for the proliferation of cells and use them to significantly promote cell regeneration. This experiment, which was intended to confirm the possibility of immortality, gave rise to the terrible disaster of contamination. Once infected by this virus, the cells in the whole body will explode, and the organism itself will become weird and huge and finally explode directly. The bigger problem is that the broken body will emit a black mist with dozens of debris, and will autonomously search for other organisms, and this process will be repeated. I sighed. Although I was reluctant to do this, as a result of the successful crusade, I had to dig out a pair of eyes of the contaminated body. It seems that I have to do it. After working for a while, I heard a noise coming from behind me. I was still wondering when they would come. These stinky dogs are finally here. The 2 contaminated bodies rushed towards me at any time. I stretched out my hand and used gravity condensation. In an instant, a purple magic circle unfolded from under me. Countless black lines emerged from the magic circle like cicada-like contaminated bodies. In the blink of an eye, the black lines controlled one of the contaminated bodies in place. I stretched out my hand to condense lightning magic, and then a palm lightning was fired at the same time. Another contaminated body had already jumped behind me, but my protective shield blocked it. Then I took out a revolver from behind my waist and cast a strengthening magic. A strengthened bullet was fired and directly penetrated the contaminated body. In this way, I kept killing the contaminated bodies. After a while, I killed 5 of them, each worth 1 million sires, which means I have earned 5 million sires so far. It is indeed a good way to make money, but it is not suitable for long-term use. Without detection magic, just finding the contaminated body would be a chore. Also, I didn't expect the pollutant to be so strong. Although its attack mode is simple, its speed and strength should not be underestimated. Xiao Sua arranged for everyone to fight in groups of 4. Probably because of this, people with the strength of Michael and Allison would never be able to fight against the contaminant alone. But do Miker and his group also know about this? If they knew, then they would let me die even though they knew I was a magician with relatively weak combat power, right? There is indeed such a possibility. After a short rest, I started looking for other targets. My goal this time is at least 20 million sare. With this money, I can buy Stimonia from Stimonia Pharmaceuticals steadily. To collect 20 million sires, I need to defeat 15 more pollutants. At the current rate, it will take about 2 days. It turns out that it is better to accept commissions that require a deposit. But it's too late to regret now. It was at this moment that I sensed something unusual nearby. I released my detection magic. There are 3 polluted bodies behind the boxes not far away. I held out my hand and gathered my magic. This trick is just right for use in this ruin. Lightning tracker, 3 lightning foxes flew out of my hand. This is a magic created by applying the principles of summoning magic, although I can't give these foxes self-awareness. But they can be controlled for a long time. The lightning foxes smashed the wooden box in an instant, but one of them dodged its attack. I also sensed something unusual instantly. Someone actually evaded my detection. I didn't even notice anyone was there just now. Just like that day, if the man running away now was the sniper that day, then this should be a suitable farewell greeting. The sound wave hit the target in the blink of an eye, but the man was just an appearance. Then I continued to run. I exhaled. It seems like the sound waves can't do anything to that guy, right? So try this. A huge ice arrow condensed above my head. The next moment, the ice arrow shot towards the target with unstoppable force. And the target turned out to be a blue-haired woman. Someone actually evaded my detection magic. This reminds me of the sniper who also dodged my detection magic. I greeted the other person by making a sound, but the sound waves had no effect on it. I will directly condense the ice arrow. It depends on how you dodge it. The ice arrow rushed towards the target with unstoppable force. The man hurriedly stopped and dodged backwards. The ice arrow exploded in front of her eyes. The woman was somewhat thankful that she survived. But the next second the ice arrow split into 4 directions. Instantly the power of ice rushed towards the woman. In the blink of an eye, her legs were frozen in place. This trick won't keep her trapped for too long. The opponent is a very powerful master, and she must not be given a chance to breathe. Gravity condenses. The next second, the black line was wrapped around the woman's arms. He held her hands tightly. The woman sneezed from the cold, and then she cursed, "Damn it! How could I fall into the hands of such a monster?" He started shouting and cursing as soon as he came up. I popped the Viper's bottle belt off. He shot the woman in the back with the gun. The woman cried out in a distressed tone, "My gun!" Then she turned to me and yelled, "Be gentle." I was amused by her words. "Why should I listen to you?" The woman was furious. "How did I offend you? Why do you treat me like this?" I responded, "Is there any need to ask? Not only did you hide secretly, but you also ran away after being discovered. Anyone would find it suspicious." The woman explained, "That's because I don't want to disturb you. I'm afraid of hindering your hunting as a magician. That's why I hid." I pondered. This excuse is really convincing. The woman breathed a sigh of relief. Then she said to me, "Well, I know you don't trust me, but could you please get rid of this piece of ice first? My toes are about to fall off from the cold." Although I don't think she will resist, I still have to be on guard. I pulled out my gun and pointed it at the woman. The woman was startled. Then she yelled, "Dylan, I know Dylan." I was a little confused. The woman continued quickly. I worked with her. I'm just an ordinary mercenary. I frowned and asked, how do you know I know Dylan? Did Dylan tell you that? Since you work with Dylan, you are also from Antares. The woman nodded. Hey, that's right. I then asked her why she was following me. Also, how did you avoid my magic detection? Listen to me. I have no intention of doing anything to you. I just happened to be by your side. But I don't want to get into trouble. That's why I hid. If I really wanted to kill you, I will definitely take action first. And I have plenty of time. As for avoiding your magical detection, I can only say it's because of superpowers. I am a little confused. What kind of superpower is this? The woman lowered her head and said, do you see the talisman on my waist? This is a fairy tale charm made of high-grade ruby gold. Although it is expensive, it is indeed useful. Basically, any mercenary with a decent income will buy it. I took off the amulet. The woman immediately yelled at me to give it back to her in a rage. Druids are natural warlocks. Their power comes from nature and strong faith. So there were no signs or traces. Then it's normal that I can't detect the druid's power. The pattern on the talisman just now seemed to have become bigger. At the same time, my aura was also weakened. It seems that the warlock can only be activated when I am invisible in place, since the pattern will disappear. This means that this is a consumable item with a limited number of uses. She certainly didn't look like she was going to kill me with this cheap stuff. The woman laughed at me. Well, you will return the amulet to me, right? It's a bit expensive. No, it's very expensive. I said worriedly. I can't guarantee that. The woman immediately started cursing. You are such a bastard. Don't worry. They'll give it to Dylan when I'm done with it. That guy doesn't even know what's in his wallet. The woman could only accept the reality when she saw that he would not come back. She comforted herself helplessly. Just give up. Don't hold on to unnecessary hope. But the next second she was pleasantly surprised to find that the ice under her feet had melted. She lifted her shoes and said to me, my shoes are soaked with water. How can you accompany me? I said, is this the time to worry about this? I called Jenny. I asked if there was a blue-haired female mercenary in the Geniantaires agency. Jenny responded, there is indeed a psychopath with blue hair. After saying that, the phone was disconnected due to no signal. But fortunately I got the point. I loosened the gravity binding on the woman's hands. I asked the woman what her name was. The woman stretched lazily and said, my name is Camilla. You can just call me Mira. Your name is Fan, right? Eve heard a lot about you. Anyway, you are here to fight against the pollutants, right? I mean, aren't you too? That's right, I'm in urgent need of money recently. My boss told me something about the dark web. He also said that all the orders I took recently were losing money, so I came here to earn some pocket money. I pondered for a while. Mira asked me what was wrong. I said nothing. Then Mira said to me confidently, I know a way to lure the contaminated bodies here and catch them all in one fell swoop, but I need your help. How about it? Are you interested? When the time comes, we will each take half of the revenge. I feel nothing inside. My balls went numb when I saw her hand reaching out to me. I'm 3 meters tall. Camilla was immediately annoyed. Then I won't make any money, I responded, but from what you said, I am the one who is ultimately responsible for removing the pollutants. Since I have more things to do, I should get the biggest share, Camilla retorted. What the hell are you talking about? It was my idea. There should be some morality in doing business. Let's just split it 5,050. I deliberately stretched my vagina. Let me think about who is the one who does business without ethics. Camilla said loudly, you take 6 and I take 4. This is the bottom line. I will not give in again. My idea is definitely the best idea ever. Although I don't know how brilliant your idea is, but okay, I'll take 60 and you take 40. Deal, it's a deal, don't regret it later. Camilla turned around and said she was leaving. I asked her if she was going to walk over. Camilla said proudly, no need, I just found a good thing. I guarantee you will arrive at your destination comfortably. A moment later I was sitting on the forklift, which was not known to be tricky. I said helplessly, I didn't expect this thing to run so smoothly. Camilla checked it, right? I disconnected the tangled wires and reconnected them. I didn't expect it to start. This way I don't have to go there and have trouble. How great. At this moment, I raised my hand and gathered magic. Then a lightning fox sprang out from my hand. The fox ran straight towards the polluted body in the distance. The next second, an explosion was heard. Camilla was a little shocked. "Did you blow him to ashes?" I calmly asked him to stop the car in front. Then I stepped forward and bent the eyes of the contaminated body. After returning to the forklift, I asked Camilla where we were going next. Camilla responded, "You may not know that pollutants generally chase after life reactions." I said I knew. Camilla asked me where I thought the pollution was concentrated. I said calmly, "Is the homeless community near here?" Camilla was a little surprised. "Did you know all this?" I said that wasn't the case, but I guessed it. It's not that I didn't think of the homeless option, but finding where homeless people live is a waste of time in itself. Most importantly, have you ever considered that other mercenaries might think the same way? I guess other mercenaries are also looking for where we are going. If you don't have any other solution, just let me out of the car, I said and watched him jump down. Camilla quickly grabbed my arm and said anxiously, "You are a magician after all. How come you have no patience at all? How could I not have thought of such an obvious thing? Of course I have prepared a trump card that others don't know about." I leaned in and asked her what it was. Camilla explained, "Our boss is very interested in homeless people." I asked her if she meant Antares. Camilla said that was right. Because of her boss, she would occasionally volunteer. Recently, we helped the homeless people move to another location, and for now, only they know the location. If what she said was true, we wouldn't have run into the other mercenaries. This is indeed true. A few moments later, we arrived at an area filled with containers. Camilla looked around and said, "It's impossible that the contaminants haven't discovered this place yet. It seems that the group of homeless people can still kill the contaminants that come running over. But it's true, we provide them with such a luxurious place to live. They should be able to save their own lives." I asked her if she wasn't going in. Camilla said disdainfully, "Why should I go in? If it weren't for my boss, I wouldn't want to get close to them. It would be better for me to work in cahoots with Scavenger and his gang. Let's just wait and see here. Although there is no movement now, the polluted bodies will definitely come over with drooling." But at this moment she saw a group of people coming from a distance. There seemed to be more than a dozen people over there, but it's too far away so I can't see clearly. I said there were 18 of them, and they were all mercenaries. Camilla was a little confused. "I came here specifically because I didn't want to run into mercenaries. I'm lucky enough that if there are people with magic among them, they will find this place sooner or later." Camilla picked up the gun behind her and said, "You're not planning to confront them, Hedon. Why not just say that we have occupied this place and ask them to get out?" I responded that it would be nice if we could scare them off. Unfortunately, there were some familiar faces over there. Camilla put down her gun and said happily, "Is he your friend? That's good, we can persuade them to leave with kind words." I said helplessly, "No, we are not that familiar with each other." I led the group closer, and the leader was Michael. Michelle also had some questions when he saw me. She said, "Fan, I didn't expect we would meet again. It seems that the undeveloped area is quite small. Is the person next to you your friend who came with you?" I said, "No, we just met by chance on the road." Micah smiled and said, "Is that so? That's good. After all, this place is too dangerous, we can go somewhere else." Camilla stepped forward and said, "Hey, are you mentally retarded? What are you messing around with over there? This is ridiculous. This is no man's land. What's yours and what's mine?" Michelle responded, "Miss, you don't seem to understand. The mercenaries who were going to fight against the polluted bodies would first decide on the fighting area." But Camilla interrupted directly and said, "Get lost. Is this your home? Also, we were the ones who originally arranged such a comfortable home for these homeless people, okay?" I asked Camilla to calm down, but she just picked up the gun and shouted, "Don't stop me, the rule is first come first served. How can I not be angry when these latecomers want to chase me away?" "Show her, you are not crossing the line. I advise you to calm down, we are not easy to mess with. I just hope you can listen to my advice and leave when you need to." Then Michael thought, there are only 2 of them, and there are nearly 20 of us. If a fight breaks out, we will definitely have the upper hand. Looking at Michael's expression, is he planning to take over the territory by force just because he has more people? If a fight breaks out, the first person to be eliminated is the man at the back. I couldn't sense any magic from him, Not even his breath. Is he powerful enough to hide his abilities? At this moment, the white-haired man patted Mike and told him not to rush. Then he smiled and said, I never expected to meet mercenaries from Antares' office here. Hello, nice to meet you. I am Malian from Platon, and I am actually the one leading these mercenaries today. Camilla Wenyen said that the Platon mercenary group is the most active mercenary agency in the circle recently, along with Antares. I heard that they used their superpowers to poach many capable mercenaries, but I don't know where their huge assets came from. Mao continued, everyone knows that Antares is very concerned about the situation in undeveloped areas. Is housing the homeless here also part of the equation? Since the mercenaries from Antares' office are here, it would be inappropriate for us to let you two leave. But, can we take a break here? If we happen to encounter polluted bodies during our break, we can try our best to eliminate them. In the end, they won't leave. If we act tougher, we'll probably end up fighting. Mira doesn't seem to want to clash with Platon's mercenaries. I said to Mira, our deal ends here. Goodbye. Miratin was anxious. Why? We agreed to make money together, so you should at least show some loyalty, right? How can you run away by yourself? I said indifferently, so, do you want to compete with them to see who can remove the pollutant first? I don't want to waste my energy. So I'd rather just take a few turns and relax. Wait, my blessing. Isn't my blessing still with you? If you help me, they'll give you that thing. How about that? I bought it for 10 million cells. It was at this moment that I sensed something unusual. A large group of black shadows appeared in the distance. Michael and the others also heard the noise, and it turned out that the group of black shadows were all contaminated bodies. Nika was so happy. Hey, all these are cash. You are not going to leave, are you? Come and try it together. You won't lose anything, and you can also let those bastards eat cakes. How do you think? But I know this situation is definitely not normal. Although there are a lot of life reactions here, it is normal for them to gather here, but the appearance of so many polluted bodies at the same time does not seem to be a coincidence, but more like there is some reason. I was sure after seeing Mal Lyonson's smile. It's true, I said to Mira, you rush to the front right now, just hold the shotgun and rush out. I will take care of the rest. Mikadon rushed forward with a sword step, and Miker Alliance shouted that they should catch up quickly. My luck magic is not something you can chase after. Freeze, instantly the ground beneath the mercenaries' feet began to shake, and then a 10-meter deep hole appeared out of nowhere. Looking at the people below, it would be nice if they could just stay inside. But how is that possible? Maolian's body glowed green. Magic? This kid really hid his strength, which is just right. The next second, Mao Lian panicked the moment the other party used magic. He interfered with the direction of the magic in his body and destroyed him instantly. Mao Lian fell to his knees. He found that he could not use his magic power. As if someone was forcibly controlling his magic power. What did he think of next? He quickly looked up at me, and judging by his expression, I guess he was completely under my control. If this move can subdue Mao Lian, who seems to be the strongest among them, then it will be easy to deal with others. Michelle was a little flustered, and they were unable to climb out of the pit. Then he looked at me and said, Pam Magician, can you help us? We can't use magic in this pit. But I didn't respond to him. Mao Lian stood up and said to Michael, haven't you noticed yet? Miker was confused. What did he find? The next second his eyes widened. At this moment, I am concentrating lightning magic and looking at them with contempt. 2 to 20, the advantage is mine. A mere 20 people dared to snatch my prey. I simply dug a sinkhole and trapped them in a deep pit. Then he used his magic to interfere with their magic, making it impossible for them to use their magic, and they could only stare blankly at the bottom. The naive Miker actually asked me for help and asked me to help them. The strongest Ma'alian immediately discovered that it was me who did it. After seeing my lightning magic, Michelle was shocked and realized that it was my masterpiece. Lightning magic gathered in my hands, and then 3 lightning foxes jumped out of my hands. In the blink of an eye, 3 foxes rushed to the contaminated body and began to slaughter it. With the addition of the fox, Camilla found it easier to kill. Camilla shouted excitedly, "This is so cool. I forgot to bring it. I was a little helpless. How could this idiot blow out the eyeballs of the contaminated body?" Camilla also found that she was too excited. Be sure to pay attention next time. When Camilla is almost killed, I will relax the suppression on the mercenaries. Mao Lian was the first to jump out. He turned his head and looked at me. I looked at him with a smirk on my face. Mao Lian turned around and ran towards the contaminated body in a hurry. I didn't expect him to just leave. But then again, he should have discovered who was controlling his magic power just now. If you challenge me, Hedon, after knowing my strength, that would be really stupid. But what about the other mercenaries? At this time, the other mercenaries climbed up the deep pit panting. But it was too late. The contaminated body had been divided up. Allison started by swearing at me. You damned fellow. Why are you standing aside and watching the show? Can't you help us? I said coldly, I don't know what you were talking about. The only person I need help with is the woman in front of me who is shooting with a shotgun. Also, we are not that familiar with each other, right? It's a bit awkward to come here and pretend to be a companion now. Allison's face turned red when he heard that, and he punched me in frustration. Even if I don't move, he will be stopped by the protective shield. But I didn't have to put up with his rudeness. I used the low-level magic I had developed inspired by Grimm's impact magic. I blasted forward and sent Allison flying. This almost made Allison eat up the food he had left over from the previous night. He fell to the ground in a daze, without waiting for his reaction. I walked up to him, grabbed his hair and started the motor, which instantly made him incontinent. After doing all this, I walked away calmly. Micah asked me, since you have such strength, why didn't you tell us earlier? Then we wouldn't have offended you before. I said coldly, I didn't come to this place to hunt pollutants just to avoid being offended by you. It's almost over there. Let's do as we agreed before and split the payment when we get paid. Crowley said with his bare hands. Wait, although Michelle agreed, I didn't nod, as long as you are willing to give me a chance. Just then, Camilla, who had just finished hunting down the polluted body, approached. She mocked Crowley. I don't know what happened to you guys before, but is it appropriate for you to leave your partner behind just to share the money? Crowley quickly raised his hands to show that he didn't mean that. Camilla immediately moved closer to Inchan and said, why not? After all, it would be more beneficial to abandon our partners and rely on us magicians, right? Don't you think so? Crowley lowered her head due to Camilla's aura, and then she whispered yes. Camilla patted her shoulder and smiled. Good boy, that's right. At this moment, Mao Lian, who had killed several contaminated creatures, came over to me and said, I lost. Magician, I am truly convinced by your comprehensive victory this time. Today really taught me a good lesson. This is the only thing I can give you. Are you willing to accept it? The business card of the Platon Mercenary Agency. It seems that he will not come to interfere in the subjugation of the polluted body again. I put the business card in my arms. Mao Lian said thank you and then said he would leave first. After saying that, he turned around and left with the other mercenaries. Camilla said to me, Magician, I have a business card here too. Do you want it? Looking at the dirty business card, I said let's leave here first. Hey, hold it for me. We hunted until the evening. Camilla looked at the list and complained, that's true, I only have 7 and you have 12. I mean, except for the fact that you blew up the eye. It's true, you deserve it, but thank you for your hard work. Camilla held my hand and smiled. Well, the magic you performed today was really cool. Come to our office some other day. Is it necessary? Dylan keeps talking about you, which makes our boss very curious about you. If you need a high-paying job, come and have a look at our firm. Okay, I'll think about it later. It's a deal then. See you next time. I leaned against the wall exhausted. The money I earned from defeating the pollutants was 19 million seals in total, although I was still 1 million away from the goal. With these, I clicked the button to bid for the Stimonian elixir so that I could take a break temporarily. I hope this elixir is effective. Hello, everyone who is following the updates of Apocalypse and Thor. Thank you for your continued support. I have updated to chapter 38 of the comic so far, which is the maximum chapters that the copyright holder can give me. Since the first season of the original comic has ended, it will not be updated here anymore. I hope everyone can understand. After all, the original author also needs to eat. In the future, Shurfei will bring more exciting comics. If you have comics you want to read, you can also post them in the comments section. I will choose them based on the situation.